Let me mute my phone. Mute my phone here. And we're live. Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Carnivore Talk. It's nice to see you all here on a Monday night. And you know how this goes. We usually pick a topic that's carnivore related, and we discuss that, among other things, answer questions. And of course, we invite you to join us on the screen here with Kurt and I. And to do that, there's several ways to get the link. One of them that we always like to say is come join us over at carnivoretalk.com. That's our community. And there's a link always pinned in the private members area that you can join. And you could also join this channel, but that's completely unnecessary. And in a few minutes, I'm going to paste the link and then pin it to the top of the chat. So this is a group discussion of fellow carnivores, no matter how long you've been on the diet. Even if you're not on the diet and you have some questions that you would like to ask face to face, that's completely fine as well. And of course, you don't have to just be a strict carnivore or on a lion diet to participate. We are your friends and your pals, and we're all brothers, even if you are doing a keto diet, a meat-centric animal-based diet. If you're not on any diet at all, or even on a vegan diet, that's completely okay. So we like to talk about making choices and giving thought to our eating patterns and not just blindly going along with the flow, which has led many of us to weight gain and disease and all kinds of ruin. So thank you for joining us. Let me paste this link in the chat. Here we are.
You're not getting any echoes, are you?
I'm not getting any echoes. Are you getting echoes?
No, just making sure because I am using a different setup this time.
Okay. So there you go. I pasted the link in the chat. It's for StreamYard. Works right in your browser, whether you're on a mobile phone or a computer. Go ahead and click that, and then you can be on the screen right here with you and with Kurt and I, and maybe you too, if you join that link. And this is a good way if you have a small YouTube channel and you're a little camera shy and you haven't gone live yet. This is a good way to jump on and get used to it. So come join us. We don't bite. Let's go over here and see who has joined us in the chat so far. And so Sandy was the first to say hi. She jumped in at 7:41, about 20 minutes before we started. It's good to see you, Sandy, as always. And then here's some bad news from Rick. Rick says that he is having some computer problems, and so he has no audio or video. And so I think the odds of us seeing Rick tonight are going to be slim to none. So keep him in your thoughts as he works towards getting his computer situations worked out here. Maureen, hi, good evening, Maureen. Thank you for joining us. And we have Brian Fly Fisherman Dish. Good evening. And let's see here. Linda Flanagan, glad you could join us. And Garuda Legends. Can I get invited to the barbecue as a hyper carnivore? All right. So I would say, of course. And then unless that's a question about can you have barbecue sauce? And then, well, that becomes it depends. So it's entirely up to you. I'm sure this is not a question, but I'm going to turn it into one. If it's a sugary barbecue sauce, you might want to stay away from it. If it's a sugar-free barbecue sauce, like Ray's sugar-free is sweetened with allulose, or I think G. Hughes has one that's sweetened with water. I don't know. They can make some weird products, but those are carb-free, calorie-free. And you can maybe, if you're going to not eat so clean, you could probably slip by with that once in a while. I occasionally will eat barbecue if I'm invited somewhere, and those are about the only options. So I'll make it. Oh, well, look at this. Sandy says, I look handsome tonight. Well, thank you. So I put on my rayon shirt here. It looks like I'm going to be going on vacation, which I am actually here in the middle of September. I'm going to be going to Myrtle Beach. So if any of you live near Myrtle Beach and would like to do a meetup down there, let me know. Contact me in the show notes below or email me at bob@carnivoretalk.com. I'll be in Myrtle Beach here in the middle of September. And speaking of travels, I'm going to be at the Columbus, Ohio meetup for Homestead How, whatever they're calling themselves these days. Healing Humanity. I'm going to be at the Healing Humanity meetup on Saturday down in Columbus. So if any of you are going to be in Columbus or attending that, I look forward to seeing you there. Sandy says, hello, Kurt. Maureen says, I'm eating my dinner while I watch. I just had mine, by the way. I had 20 ounces of top sirloin that I got down at Duma Meats. They make them in these huge steaks. That's not thickness. It's like, it barely fit on the cast iron pan. And it was absolutely delicious. How about you, Kurt? What have you had tonight? Anything yet?
I'm going on a 72-hour fast.
Ah, okay.
I'm going into my 72 hours tonight. This is 48 right now. Tomorrow will be 72.
Okay. All right. Very good. I think the longest.
I cooked everybody else. I cooked some bone-in New York strip.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I got a new grill.
Let's check it out.
Oh, that ain't working. There we go. Let me.
And there it is. All right. Very nice. All right. Let's see here. Aaron, nice to see you. See you after I put the chickens to bed. Be right back. Okay. Very good. And Papa Carnivore, of course, is in the house. Good to see you, Papa Carnivore. How about you jump on screen as soon as it's convenient for you? That'll be nice. So Garuda Legend says, what's that, Kurt?
With a shirt.
No. Garuda Legend says, this is super interesting in time. You beautiful humans are proving that you can eat a full meat diet and live a happy life for a long time. Eat it, veggie health science. Okay, I get it. Yeah, all right. Eat it, veggie health science. Take that. It is true. Supposedly we're all of us who have been eating carnivore for years, according to their thinking, we should have all dropped dead by now, but it hasn't happened yet. So, all right. Milton is partially responsible for the shorted USB port. That does not surprise me. That does not surprise me. That cat's always trying to sabotage some things there. Michael Rothwell, hello. It's another tall carnivore quack. Milton was playing around with the USB hub and he broke the wire off, shorting it. Okay. So I meant cookout. Maureen asks, what is the definition of hypercarnivore? Greater than 70% animal product consumption. And that is correct. That is the definition I've heard. So humans are hypercarnivores in that they obtain or should be obtaining over 70% of their diet from animal products. So that would be correct. And we're not an obligate carnivore, where we'll die if we so much as eat a plant, but we are definitely hypercarnivores, also sometimes called facultative carnivores. There's so many different labels, so the omnivore umbrella kind of fits too, but no, hypercarnivore I think is a very good description. That's what a lot of the carnivore influencers, that's the term they like to use, is hypercarnivore. And let's welcome Jeff to the screen. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Sorry I'm late.
Oh, that's okay. So there's no late. There is no late. What you been up to this last week? Still, I'm sure, still doing the packing and moving and
Oh, yeah.
planning stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, we just got back. That's why I was running late. We got back from Lowe's, picked up some paint to do some painting down there. But we signed on a new place today. And I've spent the last 2 weeks moving stuff down there and putting it in the shop. So we'll take possession Friday. It's all ours. So we're ready to go.
All right. Very good. All right. Well, I'm glad you're on screen since you suggested our theme. And I've got some comments to make based on the theme. Our theme tonight, which we'll eventually get to, is carnivore diet mistakes. And so we'll talk about those a little bit and pepper them throughout our conversation throughout the night. And but yeah, we thought that was a good topic. And Jeff, you liked my silly thumbnail?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty sick line you had there.
I was trying to think something that embodied like a carnivore mistake. What kind of image? And so I was looking for silly lions, and I came across that one. I was like, oh, that's perfect. And that lion looks like a deer caught in headlights. All right. So Papa Carnivore had a giant bone-in monster pork chop for dinner tonight. Awesome. Sounds delicious. Rockin' Keto Amy is in the house. Good to see you. Maureen is having chuck shoulder steak and some leftover chicken liver. All right, very good. You know, when I was at Duma's the other day, because I had a big sirloin steak. We stocked up on meat the other day. It was my wife had surgery last week, and she wanted to get out of the house when she was finally feeling better. So we went around to a couple stores and went to Duma's. They had I didn't get any, but they had a huge bag of chicken hearts and then bags of chicken livers, and they were fairly inexpensive. And I didn't get them because I would have to freeze them. I mean, I got what I would be able to eat without having to freeze it. So, but I need to come up with some good like recipes for that, because I've had like turkey heart before on Thanksgiving, and I've never had chicken hearts, and I don't think I've ever had chicken livers. But I've heard a lot of people that can't stand beef liver actually like chicken liver.
Chicken liver's real mild. My wife likes to grill them up or saute them in a pan with just butter and garlic.
Just some butter and garlic. That's easy. Sauteed. All right. Sandy had fried pork belly, and we did pick up some bacon. Lots of bacon, and some hamburger and some other odds and ends, some unique cheeses that we don't normally get. And they have the best beef jerky down there. I'm a beef jerky fan, but I think there's a little bit of something sweet on it, so I can't go overboard on it. I don't know what's in it. It's their secret ingredient, but it is probably some of the best tasting beef jerky around. Rick has his soldering iron out and some wire. US repair in progress. I tell you what, if you repair that USB and end up popping on tonight, I'm going to be mega impressed. That'll be something else. That'll ultimately prove that Rick can fix anything. That'll be awesome. All right. Let's see here. The chat is lively, and that's very nice. Milton is a menace. And all three of us have been labeled as handsome. So a smile for the camera, everybody.
Well, it's nice. We got old people with bad eyes on this side.
All right. Let's see here. Amy says she had 2 hamburger patties with salt and butter and 5 over easy eggs, also salted and buttered. All right. Yeah, that absolutely does sound delicious. And then and it sounds like, I like this comment too here from Papa here. Looks like you are absolutely loving carnivore, Amy, and it has. I know it's been several weeks now, and I always hear you speak very highly of it. So very good. And I wasn't sure it would be sustainable, but I'm loving it. So very good. All right. Kurt, my eyes. I said smile for the camera. He's making faces at the camera. All right. So we were talked about carnivore diet mistakes. And the carnivore diet normally is pretty simple, but there can be some mistakes one might make along the way. And as to the degree in which these are mistakes, that might vary depending on what the mistake is. When I think of it right away, I just think of I don't even know if I want to call it a mistake, but someone not minding their electrolytes when they first start. And the reason that comes to mind is because I'm actually coaching some people offline here, and they started the carnivore diet and they weren't feeling very hot, fatigued, didn't have the energy or anything, but they weren't doing anything for their electrolytes. And as soon as we started having them take some electrolytes, then all of a sudden, now they felt the energy, now they felt good, and then that put them on the path to success. And it's not that electrolytes are always needed. I certainly don't really need them anymore. And I think the longer you're on carnivore and the more you adapt, the less likely you need them. But I think that's one mistake right off the bat is if you're going to start a keto or carnivore based diet where you're limiting or minimizing or eliminating your carbohydrates, you might want to have some electrolyte drink mixes on hand at least for the first maybe 30 to 90 days, because your body, as it drops all that water, is going to drop a lot of those minerals as well, and they need replenished. So that's one of those that come to my mind. Jeff, this was your idea for a theme. I was wondering if you had any one particular one. What would be the number one mistake that was in your head when we thought about this topic?
Well, I'll mention two of them, actually. The two biggest ones, in my opinion. First and foremost, not learning what carnivore is, not understanding what carnivore is. Not doing your study and your research. Find out what it is you're doing before you jump into it. Did you learn to drive a car by just getting in it and driving? No, you took lessons. You learned how to drive it. You had to become familiar with the car before you were turned loose with it. Well, I look at this diet the same way, or this way of eating the same way. You need to know what you're doing before you get into it. And I always recommend to everybody that, to me, the best book on the subject is Dr. Baker's book, The Carnivore Diet. He, in simple terms, explains everything about it and how it works in your body and how to get started on it. And so that's the first mistake people make, is they get into it just by listening to what other people say instead of actually doing the research for themselves and finding out exactly how to do the diet. And I understand people don't want to look at blueprints and whatnot, but I'm sorry, if you look at a blueprint, you'll build it right. All right. And, it helps you start off with your foundation. Now, we're all different, so consequently, everybody's diet is going to be different. They're going to have to fit it to what suits them. But Dr. Baker's book will get you on the right foundation for you to build your lifestyle from. And then the second thing, I see a lot of this and we all do it. Just about every one of us does it at some time or another. And that's, we don't eat enough. We're so used to this calorie in, calorie out dogma, which is a bunch of bunk. And we think that we have to eat less to lose more, when it's just the opposite. That's the beauty of eating the way we eat, is that we can eat to our full and we will still lose weight. So a lot of people don't eat enough food. They eat too little food, and it's easy to do when this food satisfies you so much that you don't feel like you need to eat anymore. But trust me, you probably do, because I see what some people post where they eat maybe a half pound of hamburger with very little fat, and it's like, no, that's not enough. You're starving yourself, and you will go into starvation mode and you will not lose weight. So you need to eat plenty of food. So those are my two things. Learn how to do it properly, and eat enough food.
Yeah, yeah, and that's actually I like those both a lot. So a good starting manual to learn about the diet, watch videos, read books, and educate yourself because the more you educate yourself, the less mistakes you're going to make. And some people are overly concerned about things that they don't have to be overly concerned about. One example is like meeting the RDA of certain a fundamental question, say like, how am I going to meet my RDA of vitamin C? You know, and so someone might make the mistake of trying to incorporate orange juice, or eat fruit in their carnivore diet. Not that you can't eat fruit if you choose to, but if you're trying to reverse disease or trying to lose weight, the carbs have actually got to go, at least for now. And when you do the studying, you learn that your body's requirements for vitamin C are actually a lot less than you would think, because you're not those receptors that take up vitamin C are also the receptors that take up glucose, and they're not competing. Hmm. I got an echo.
You do. I do too.
All right. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna figure out who it is. I'm gonna mute you, Kurt, only because you mentioned it earlier. Testing.
It's
There we
gone.
go. Okay. Yeah, for some reason yours was echoing back, Kurt. So just unmute yourself when you want to talk. So yes, so the thinking you have to meet all those RDAs, that's not necessarily the case, because those RDAs were based on sampling of the general population who ate a crap diet anyway.
Yep.
And when you're eating nutrient dense foods like meats and like maybe even organ meats, you're getting everything that your body needs. So ancient man did not sit around carving in stone tablets the amount of vitamins of this they got and the amount of nutrients of that they got. They just went out and ate fatty meat. So,
and they went 11 months out of the year without getting any vitamin C. How come they all didn't die of scurvy?
And there you go. And there is actually a little bit of vitamin C in meat. So it's not going to be on the label, but there is actually a little bit there.
Well, and that's just it. The whole fallacy about vitamin C comes from the sailors, and hence the reason why we call Englishmen limeys, is because they were getting scurvy, and they thought it was from the lack of vitamin C. Well, we already know that that's false, but the reason why the sailors were getting it, but the officers weren't getting it, they didn't look at that. The officers weren't getting scurvy. It was just the working men, the sailors themselves. Well, it's because what did the officers have to eat in their mess? They had meat. The sailors didn't. They had grog. They ate grains for the most part. Most of the meat they got in their food was from weevils, insects that was in their hardtack and in their grog. So there was the reason right there. Those that were eating meat didn't get scurvy. Those that weren't eating meat got scurvy.
Yes, indeed. And then in your second point about not eating enough fat is also, is a kind of a footnote to what you said. There's not eating enough overall.
Right.
But then if you're too lean, because saturated fat's been demonized, and we're all raised to think that fat is bad and lean meat is good. And so if we eat too lean, then you're not going to feel great. You might have that fatigue, the lack of energy. You need the fat because the fat is your fuel. So now if you're big and fat, might not need as much because you've got this big reservoir, that you're going to tap into. That's why a lot of people get on a carnivore diet. They're not hungry. And two, they lose weight, burn fat pretty easy, at first. That's why. But, we don't want to neglect on our fat consumption, because you're missing it. That's where all the vitamins and minerals are. And that's what's going to give you energy. So very good. Now let's take a moment to say hi to Aaron in H Carnivore. How you doing, Aaron?
I just made myself disappear. Can you still see me?
Oh, yeah.
We can see you. Yes. Yeah.
All right. I got to figure out how to make myself come back so I can see me.
Okay. So you probably on a mobile device, and you probably switch to a different window or app. So if you come back to your browser where StreamYard is open, you should be able to find us there.
Okay.
You still get the echo?
I may have to reload.
I don't hear an echo currently, Kurt. And Aaron's
Okay.
Aaron disconnected. She'll be back, I'm sure. Yeah, no echo right now. You're a little quieter, but there's definitely no
Okay,
echo.
what about now?
Yeah, still no echo. Your volume's a little lower. I'm gonna bring Aaron back. Here comes Aaron back to the stage. All right.
Hi, guys.
All right. So
Learning curve.
that's okay. Glad you could join us. I believe you are in the Kilch coaching course with me. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct.
All right. I thought I recognized your name. So tell us a little about yourself. And is NH Carnivore, is that a channel?
Could be.
It could be.
I had no idea when I went to the Boston meetup that I was going to be training as a coach.
Mhm.
So I'm still going step by step as to what all this means and how it's going to manifest. And every day is different. So this is my first time in this kind of situation. So thank you for the welcome.
All right. Well, glad we could have you here. Yeah, I signed up for the coaching course because it was cheap compared to a lot of others,
Mhm.
and B, for the education. So like I'm a research nut, so I just love to have more deeper, more thorough education, and to be able to have this classroom instruction, and seriously, like, for anyone listening, if you ever consider this someday, it's worth it. Take this coaching course because they do deep dives, they do presentations. What are they called? PowerPoint presentations, but they're on Canva, and they could be 2 hours long, and we've gone into some, heavy hitting subjects like cholesterol and diabetes with guest doctors from other YouTube channels that you're familiar with too, have been in there teaching the class. So it's been a joy. But I do it to further my knowledge, and then once I graduate, will I ever do anything with it career wise? I don't know, probably not. So I'm a tile setter by trade. So and I own my own business. I'll probably keep doing that.
Now, I, on the other hand, have previous coaching experience as a GAPS practitioner and did that for a while, and then realized that GAPS had too much carbs and too many oxalates and other plant toxins, and stepped away. After I became carnivore, I had a lot of friends watching the change in me, especially the change in image of skin tone and muscle tone, and just brightness in my stride and my gait and my talk and my coordination and my cognitive processing. And people started asking questions. What are you doing? How are you doing it? And I started giving guidance to friends casually. And after going to the Boston meetup, I had such a good time. If I can coach just enough to keep going to meetups, it'll, if I break even at the end of every year, it'll be a wonderful thing. If I do something more than that, it'll be just an additional blessing.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. I just had to look up what GAPS diet was. I never heard of it. Gut and Psychology Syndrome Diet is what I'm reading here on Bing.
Yep, correct.
And it's animal proteins, bone broth, non-starchy vegetables, and fermented foods. It sounds very keto oriented.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It still can get into quite a bit of carbs when you get into GAPS baking. It could be, and a lot of oxalates because you're baking with nut flours and bean flours that are non-starchy. So you get into lectins, you get into oxalates, and I found that for me personally, it turned into a less healing path once I got away from the basic soups and stews and non-starchy vegetables. But I was trying to, as I taught it to others, put myself through the whole protocol. It just wasn't in my best interest. Other people do really well with it. Like, we're all different.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds like it'd be something that would be okay. So I'm and I'm a student of Dr. Berry, so I believe in the proper human diet, with carnivore just being one aspect of it, and then low carb and keto being the other side of that spectrum. And so the bone broth, the non-starchy vegetables, fermented foods, along with your animal proteins, like I would have nothing against that. I don't even have anything against the occasional fruit or something like that. But I can see where, when you get into the baked goods, Dr. Berry will say keto, true keto is half your plate's fatty meat, the other half is low carb veg. But when you start making yourself a Fathead's pizza with almond flour, and you start
Right.
making
That-
keto cakes and keto cookies, and then next thing you know, it's not working for you anymore. So
Gee, just like the Atkins diet.
exactly, yeah. So the Atkins, again, the fundamentals of Atkins, he was spot on.
Yeah.
But then I mean, a few recipes once in a while to make something and enjoy yourself, I mean, that's fine. But what do we as human nature tend to do? We try and create something every single day, every single meal that used to resemble something we used to eat on the standard American diet, and it was never
then
good.
all the manufactured stuff that they were coming out, the candy bars, and the cookies and all that kind of stuff that were Adkins,
Yeah.
all that stuff. That's why I failed it, is too much carb creep.
Right. Yeah. I think Atkins, if he was alive and saw what, after he died, and this, one of these big food companies bought his name, the rights to his name, and started coming out with all these products, the Atkins bars, the Atkins shakes, the Atkins frozen
Yep.
meals, the Atkins. I think if Atkins could come back to life and see it for himself, he would be like, "What are you guys doing?"
Mhm.
I don't think he would approve of any of it.
No.
So he's rolling in his grave, I think. So yeah. All right. So okay, yeah. Yeah. So very good. I'm glad to hear that carnivore is benefiting you. And that makes a lot of sense, that to get the maximum amount of healing that you desired, those lectins and those oxalates had to be nipped up. Yep.
Yeah, the other thing that's interesting is every once in a while I have it's usually just a couple day episode of I attribute to oxalate flare.
Mm-hmm.
Either gouty in my wrist or my heel, or some part of my body will have this sharp, like a nail is stuck into me. It's tolerable, but it's nagging, and it'll last for a day to 3 days, and then it's absolutely gone, and it doesn't come back to that area again. So I'm 33 months, I determined today, into carnivore, and I'm still clearing oxalates. I think that's my theory and hypothesis.
All right. 30. So you're almost 3 years.
Yes.
All right. You got a couple more months on Jeff and I. So, all right. Very nice.
Yeah, and I started because I was having tendon injuries, and I had an Achilles tendon partial tear, and I had a tendon sheath in my hand tear, both just from mishaps of regular old life. And both of those injuries led me to orthopedic practices who said really didn't have anything to offer me. So after going from the foot specialist to the hand specialist, I do what I usually do when I hit a dead end, and I said a prayer. I said, God, you need to give me another resource here. And the next day I woke up, and in my email feed, there was an interview with Dr. Baker. And I listened to his story, and he said one of the first things that healed in his body was tendon injuries. So my husband's an architect and works from home. I went downstairs to his office and I said, hey, dear, you ready for the next adventure? We're going carnivore.
How'd that go over?
He said, well, he did gaps with me too. So
Okay.
he's a great guy.
All right.
And he said, bacon, beef, fat, and butter, I'm in.
All right. Yeah. All right. So that sounds good. And is he still into that this day?
Yeah, he cleans the refrigerator and cleans the cupboards. I went cold turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Took him 6 to 8 weeks to get all the way to carnivore, and now he's bought it hook, line, and sinker. He's seen such an improvement in his well-being and his waistline and his sleep and just in general tension and joy and life that he doesn't think about cheating at all.
All right. Very nice. So I'm gonna start looking over at the chat here. I got a couple website tabs open for carnivore mistakes, and here's one that I thought was kind of interesting. Consuming too many polyunsaturated fatty acids, and it mentions that if you eat a lot of bacon, sausage, pork, and chicken, your intake of PUFAs is likely to be high, and that might stop you from feeling your best. I was wondering what your thoughts might be on that, because I eat a lot of bacon and I eat a lot of sausage. I eat sausage on the daily. I'll eat even pork sausages sometimes. I don't do chicken a whole lot, and bacon, maybe like once or twice a month. But I do have sausage with my breakfast every day. Personally, none of that has ever bothered me. So I was kind of surprised to see this on this list of potential carnivore mistakes. But it seems to me that someone could eat carnivore of any animal and still find success. What do you think there, Jeff?
Okay. First off, it says can. So there's those maybes in there.
Mm-hmm.
Each person is individual. Each person is different, as we always say. So if it's going to affect somebody, it's going to be because they're going to have more sensitivity to, let's say, pork or chicken rather than beef. And that could be where it's coming from. It could be histamine issues. And it also could be the fact that the omega-3 to omega-6 ratios are different in pork and chicken than it is in beef. So if anything, it would probably be the omega-6s in there that is in balanced form, would be my guess.
Yeah, and I've heard that because they're monogastric and in a farm-raised situation, they're being fed soy and corn all the time, so their omega-6s are higher than they would naturally be if they just ate a natural diet. So if you can find one,
and when you see people with eggs, that come from chickens that are fed a mainly grain diet versus those who are pasture raised and eat a grass and bug diet. The pasture raised, they tend to have less histamine issues than they do with the grain fed regular eggs. But that's just some people. We can all take this overboard and get too stringent with this when we don't need to. Now, none of that bothers me. I can eat all the pork, chicken I want. I can eat all the store-bought eggs I want. I don't, but I can. It just so happens I raise my own. But that's me. My constitution it allows me to do that, but there's many others that can't do that. So once again, each person has to develop their way of eating that fits their lifestyle and their body the best.
yeah, and so if you can afford pasture-raised pork and pasture-raised chicken, then that's gonna be the more healthier for you. And then if you can't, then you want to probably make ruminant meats your staple.
Yeah.
Beef, lamb, goat, bison, buffalo, deer, things like that. So,
well, Michaela Peterson is the best example that we have of that.
Oh yeah, very good.
She was extremely super sensitive, but we can get too dogmatic in this when we don't need to. Find out what your body needs, experiment, be your end of one, and find out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and then build your house from there on the foundation.
Yeah.
Well said.
All right, very nice. So we have Kaleidoscope Mind is going to make a giant ribeye in a few minutes. Sounds good.
I want to see you.
It seems someone in the chat thinks drinking coffee is vegan only. It's not carnivore. So somebody please correct
Okay,
me.
yeah, I'll look for that. We'll get to it. I'm trying to catch up, trying to star some of these and not lose my place here.
I want to know, is he making the ribeye Bill Gates style, or is he just cooking one that was made by God?
It's Bill Gates style,
I
lab
think
grown.
this person-
Yeah, the lab grown meat.
I think this person's a Bill Gates.
Just
fan.
giving you a hard time, Kaleidoscope.
All right, Booby Goat says mistake number 1: not eating enough fat. Yep, that's exactly right. We brought that up earlier. Marine says one of my big mistakes was trying to be too strict right out of the gate, and yeah, that could be that strict with food quantity, or strict as in you wish you could have, maybe you would have been better to ease into it, and that could be too. So we talked about that last week, how the keto flu doesn't have to be a thing. You can gradually become a carnivore and not jump in at cold turkey.
And for me, strict was the best way.
Me too.
You know, that was what suited me the best, because I'm an abstainer. I have to go whole hog in, you know. But for those that can ease into it, hey, more power to you. You're better off than we were. We had to go through some rough times.
Yeah, there was that cast iron frying pan to the head thing.
Yeah.
Sticking to 1 pot of coffee per day, it's going well. You know what? I not anymore, but I used to envy people who could drink coffee. So coffee, I made a video about my ulcerative colitis, and when I quit coffee, my ulcerative colitis went away. For some reason, it did not jive with my physiology. And actually, if I never drank coffee, I would have never had ulcerative colitis, and then I would have never taken the medication for ulcerative colitis, and then I never would have had chronic kidney disease. So, I mean, what a chain reaction that was.
Garuda Legend. Your last comment, if you drink coffee, don't mention it. Coffee is a vegan, not carnivore. You need to just keep that kind of chatter to yourself, because this, one, is not your channel. Number 2, if it doesn't work for you, we're sorry to hear that. But don't be dogmatic, because it's really going to piss me off.
All right, let's see here. So yeah, some people like to make their, Papa Carnivore says, fatty deluxe treatment. So a lot of people like to make those bulletproof coffees, where they mix in the coconut oil and the MCT oil and the butter. I do that with
bulletproof.
Tea. Yeah,
I used to do that when
tea.
I drank that stuff.
Yeah, I'm a tea drinker. I drink hot tea since I had to quit coffee, and then I also drink some iced tea as well.
I did that with my tea. When I switched from coffee to tea, I made bulletproof tea. 1 tablespoon of butter, 1 tablespoon of MCT oil, blended up in a Nutri blender. It was pretty decent stuff. And then when I got off the tea, I did it with bone broth. That was my morning drink for quite a while. Same thing, butter and MCT oil.
Here's a comment that Garuda Legends makes that actually is food for thought. It's true. Recommended daily allowance is silly. Some people are tall and short and can't eat the same recommended daily allowance. And that actually makes a lot of sense. Someone who's 5'0", doesn't necessarily need the same amount of, food intake and nutrition as someone who's 7 foot,
And that goes for all recommendations. And the RDA was made up. There was no science in it whatsoever. It was completely made up. One guy studied a bunch of frat boys at a fraternity and in college that were somewhat healthy, and said, this is what he thinks the human body needs. Well, for a 19, 20, 21-year-old kid, what they need is going to be totally different than what this 69-year-old man needs. Totally different. So you can't go by that RDA stuff. It's all bunk. Don't mean nothing.
Yeah. All right. So here's an interesting one from Amy. Thanks to Kurt. Go ahead. Your volume. I didn't know you're talking because your volume's really low. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, seriously, like you're about half the volume or less than the other three of us here with your new setup and your new microphone. It's very quiet.
Let me see. Better now? Yeah, can you hear me better now?
A little bit.
No. I think because maybe if I can you hear me better now?
Oh, for a moment there I did, yes. Yeah,
Oh.
maybe you leaned in closer.
How about now?
That's better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're better over there.
That's because I'm speaking into my boom box.
Ah,
But you go ahead, Bob. You tell
Okay.
us what Amy said about me.
Oh, said thanks for challenging me to put an egg in my coffee. And thanks to Peter for the bacon grease idea. I don't know what the bacon grease idea is, but I thought that was pretty interesting. So to crack an egg in one's coffee, I've never heard that before. I've cracked an egg in a beer.
No, we take an egg yolk. It's Vietnamese coffee,
Uh-huh.
and you take an egg yolk, and you basically whip it up, and then you slowly pour the coffee in while you're like you have one of those milk frothers,
Uh-huh.
and it makes it really nice, and it takes the bitterness out of the coffee. It's better than cream.
now we do a little variation on yours, Kurt. We do a whole fresh egg in the bottom of the mug with 1 to 2 tablespoons room temperature butter. Then you fill half the mug with coffee, use the whisk and liquidate or froth everything, and then top it off. And in our house, that's called,
Oh, what is it called?
we call it an eggachino.
Okay.
Yeah.
An eggatino. I like it.
And we start the day with 2 of those. That's how we break our morning fast.
Wow. There you go. Yep. Coffee's great. Whether
we-
it's carnivore, vegan, or fruitarian.
And you know, I'm sure I'll come across that comment here and we'll talk about it some more. But remember, a hypercarnivore consumes 70% or more of their products from animals. Doesn't mean that that's to the exclusion of any plants. Some people that's the case. Other people it isn't. It's certainly not a requirement.
Oh,
Amy says,
we better stop and discuss this. Then lions and tigers aren't carnivore because I'm sure they get some grass or some weeds when they kill an animal. They get it in their mouths and in their digestive system, and they're eating whatever the herbivore ate that they just killed. Because
precisely, yeah.
So
And
they're not carnivores either, then.
Well, they will eat on grass. I mean, my dogs will eat on grass a little bit. My cats will eat on grass a little bit. And gee, I've seen herbivores eat meat before. I've seen deer eat meat before.
Yeah.
So what we have is a species specific diet, meaning we thrive on one type of food.
Right.
All right. But that doesn't mean we can't eat the other stuff. It just may not be optimal for us. But even the animal kingdom does the same thing.
Yeah, a deer eating a squirrel. I've seen that example, and
I've
I've
seen them
also
eat birds.
seen,
I've seen them eat on the gut piles of other deer.
mhm.
So
Now your cat is considered an obligate carnivore, and even your house cat and the lion, same thing. They're both considered obligate carnivores. But
you'll see them eat greens.
yep, you can buy at the pet store. There's a something grass, and then there's catnip, which is a plant. You can buy it and bring it home, and my cat will just absolutely go berserk and eat every little stem off of that when you buy it. So that's the problem with labels and being strict. So both of those things, you apply a label and be strict, and then we don't want to get religious about it.
Well, like Kirk was saying, we don't judge anybody on this.
Right.
Everybody has to do what suits their body and their system the best.
I highlighted Rock and Keto Amy's comment here because this could actually fit in with our theme. She says, I'm trying not to do sweets right now. I was addicted to vanilla flavoring, so I'm apprehensive about that. So that could be, we could consider that a carnivore mistake. So like, if you go carnivore, can you drink diet soda like I am right now? You can do anything you want. Okay. Now that could actually be a stumbling block for someone who's trying to break their sugar addiction. Even the slightest taste of something sweet, whether it's from a diet soda or whether it's from a blueberry or some other type of artificial sweetener, could send them on a binge that causes them to fall off their plan, and then they struggle to get back on plan. So not, being strict could be a carnivore mistake. At the same time, being too lenient could be a carnivore mistake, depending on you as an individual.
And let me add to that on the artificial sweeteners. Once again, individual thing. You're able to handle it, Bob. It doesn't bother you. You feel, from a moral obligation, you feel like you ought to get off of them, but it's not stalling you out. It's not bothering you. But for somebody else, what it can do is actually cause them to gain weight, not because it entices them to go back and eat real sugar, but because the body can actually recognize that as a sugar. And I forget what it is. I'm not even going to try to quote it because I know I'll get it wrong. But I just read a report on this a couple of days ago where they have been doing some research on this, and these artificial sweeteners are actually causing people to gain weight because it's causing their bodies to change in such a way that the body recognizes this as sugar, even though it's not. And so it can be detrimental to some people. And so it's a carnivore mistake in that if you aren't losing weight or you're even gaining weight, but you're still indulging in artificial sweeteners, that very well could be the reason why.
Yeah, for some people, it triggers what they call a cephalic phase insulin response. So just the taste of something sweet causes the pancreas to release insulin, but then when there's no carbohydrates coming down the pipe, it has nothing to do.
And insulin being the fat storage hormone.
Right. Yeah. So at the very least, it might, even if it doesn't cause you to gain weight, it could actually maybe stall your weight loss because you've got that insulin response.
So that is definitely a carnivore mistake for some people.
Yeah. And there's certain sweeteners that do it more than others too. So, all right. So Amy says, I'm doing the PhD coaching class and I want to use it. And yeah, very good. I applied for that. Unfortunately, I was not selected as one of the lucky 200. So I envy all of you who are getting to go through the PhD coaching.
Now, what's
I'm gonna let y'all spend money and then I'll just learn from y'all.
So proper human diet coaching, that is the coaching that is being promoted and hosted by Dr. Barry and his wife.
Got it. Thanks.
Yep. So they've started up their own certification program. He used to recommend that people did Mark Sisson's Primal Health Coach program. And then now they've launched their own health coach program. And then likewise, so has Dr. Kiltz, which is what you and I are in together. And they both did that around the same time. I was going to take them both. All right. Let's see here. Have you tried drinking a cup of bone broth over coffee, aka bean juice? I know the bone broth thing is actually highly recommended. That's one thing that I don't do as much as I probably should. And I don't make it at home. Usually if I get bone broth, I buy it at the store. So I've never bought bones and I've never made my own bone broth.
When I gave up tea, I did it just because the habit of having that warm morning drink when I first get up.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and eventually I weaned myself off of that just because it was, you know, I was drinking too much. It was getting too expensive. Because when I started doing it, then everybody in the household started doing it, and I went, okay, well, I'll just buy out and let everybody else do it.
Yeah, so I've had store-bought bone broth, but I've never actually made my own bone broth. Let's
Yeah,
see
I
here.
do,
I'm sorry, you broke up. What was that?
I do make my own bone broth. I do it in a hot pressure cooker.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do a pot full of bones and water, salt for about a week, and then I'll pick and filter and put it in mason jars in the fridge. All
right, how long does it keep?
If it has a fat layer on the top in the refrigerator, it'll last a couple of weeks. But also, I'll freeze it at times too. And I go through cycles. I'll have the Instapot going for 3 weeks in a row with weekly batches of bone broth, and then I'll take a break for 5 or 6 weeks and just not do it.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to see if I could substitute my coffee for bone broth with cappuccinos, and did an experiment with that this summer, and it wasn't favorable for my well-being. I get coffee in them. I have a congenital thyroid disorder, and the conventional treatment is medication that doesn't agree with me, but caffeine gives me the little bit of muscle control and firing later in the day that keeps me from being sedentary.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually use coffee as medicine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah, when I think about quitting, you know, like when I soda, it's really for the caffeine. I actually don't care about the artificial sweetener, but I have chronic kidney disease and hypertension as a result. So I think oftentimes I think to myself, I should try to remove this and just drink water to see if that reduction in caffeine will help lower my blood pressure a few points. You know, that's kind of why I ideally want to give it up, but also I love it, and that's my last addiction right there is my bubbly beverages. So what are we gonna do? I will try. I will make the resolution and give it 30 days here eventually. So all right.
You know, I had one of them yesterday. I was at a club meeting yesterday, and I went in the fridge to get a bottle of water, and they had this flavored water. And I looked at the ingredients on it and I said, you know, I'm secure in my carnivore. I'm going to try one of these, see what it tastes like. So I had an artificial sweetener in it. And that was the most disgusting, sickening thing that I've eaten or drank in a long, long time. It was horrible. I poured it out, you know, and just got tap water. My gosh, I've been without any sweeteners for over 2 years, artificial or otherwise. And I'm telling you what, I have no tolerance for it anymore. That artificial stuff is just nasty.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, I'll tell you that I can relate to that experience in this manner. I used to be a diet Coke-aholic all my life, guzzled Diet Coke, but because it's contains high levels of phosphoric acid and because of my kidneys, I'm retaining phosphorus. I knew I had to give it up. So I've substituted other soft drinks in place of Diet Coke. But now it's been months since I've had a Diet Coke. So when I happen to be out somewhere and that's like my only option, and I occasionally will say, all right, you know, give me a Diet Coke, it actually tastes like chemicals. Like it literally, like it does not. I used to taste good. I used to love it. Now it just literally tastes like some sort of cleaning solution, you know?
Yeah. And this stuff didn't even taste like sugar. You know, I mean,
No,
it's
it's
artificial.
bitter.
I don't,
Yeah.
but it didn't even taste like sugar. It tasted like a really poor chemical, uh, imitation of it. Nasty.
So it's 9
So-
o'clock.
Another carnivore mistake, because I never got a chance to voice before I blew my top earlier.
Your volume is much better, by the way. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I changed the headset. Basically, one of the biggest mistakes people make is starting carnivore. They don't do electrolytes, but the biggest is, my opinion, is they are looking for alternatives to the previous things they used to like carnivore pizza, carnivore bread, just a carnivore version of what they used to like. They will fall back into, well, there's not much difference. I don't see what's the big deal. And they might sneak something in. It's not a good idea to delve into, like me, for instance. I used to live on pizza. It's not a good idea for me to make a carnivore version of it. It's not. I don't want to go down that path.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way with my drinking. I don't even want to tempt myself on a taste of, is this a good beer? Is this a good whiskey? I don't dare go down that path. It would not be good.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We talked about that was the problem with like the Atkins diet, was when making these foods that imitated the foods that you wish you could have been eating, but now you were sacrificing.
Yep.
And on the other hand, for those who are trying to transition into a carnivore diet, that could be useful. It kind of depends on that personality again. Are you the jump in at cold turkey kind of guy? Or are you the guy that kind of has to ease into things? I was the person that had to ease into things, so when I started my weight loss journey, it was low carb. I knew that's what worked for me, but it was a plant-based low carb. So I still had the spinach salads, and I still was eating the almonds, and I made peanut butter and jellies with Smucker's sugar-free jelly on a low carb tortilla with sugar-free peanut butter. And I thought I was doing things right.
Boy, was you loading the carbs.
And then and they were supposedly low carb, but then I'd look at the ingredients on this low carb bread and low carb tortillas, and I'd be like, I don't even think that makes sense. I think it's a lie. And as I did more research, it was. And then I cleaned it up, did Dr. Berry keto, where I just got rid of that grain. That's when I swore off grains. Yeah, I made the vow, I'll never eat grains and refined sugar again. And then eventually I got into carnivore. So during that transition phase, I made, like a keto pizza, and I made low carb versions of this or that. I wouldn't do it now, because I have no desire to now. Just give me a steak and some eggs, I'm happy. But during that transition phase of trying to get my mindset on this health journey and commit, I did have to go through those phases. That's just me, and it's always been like that with me throughout my life. Whenever I had to diet, I always had to transition slowly. I was never a cold turkey kind of person. I was too addicted to stuff, so I had to wean myself off of it slowly. So, but that's true. That's like, that's why Atkins didn't work for a lot of people, was because they were still making things that imitated what they really wanted deep down inside. And I think that's another thing too, is when you go carnivore, it's because you really want it. Your health or your weight has reached a point where it's now or never. You don't want it. You're
Right.
afraid to cross that point. You've bottomed out. You're afraid you've crossed the point of no return, and with that comes a lot of motivation, and you commit. And anytime I've tried dieting before that, it was an ideal, but my heart wasn't 100% in it like it is now. So
if I can just mention some real quick.
Sure.
If anybody's curious, so I went in last Friday I was expecting to get surgery. Well, lo and behold, my blood pressure was like 210 over 120. The doctor said, no bueno. They made me wait there an hour. They kept taking my blood pressure, and they kept pushing me. Well, you need to be on these blood pressure medications. And they explained to me what could happen, what the anesthesia does. They were real nice, but they kept pushing the blood pressure medication. So yes, people, I came home, no surgery. I'm on my blood pressure medication for the week just to get the surgery, lowering my blood pressure chemically. And the reason being is because ever since my in-laws got here, I have forgotten to eat my natto. It threw my whole regimen off after they got here. Lack of sleep, running my tail off. I wasn't thinking. So I'm on going on a 72-hour fast, and hopefully get to surgery this Friday and get off these pills.
All right.
Good deal.
Sounds like a plan. Hopefully that works out well for you. So I had the same injury and I never got mine repaired. I wish I did. So, all right. Very good. Going back to our chat. So Gruda Legends makes this comment. Coffee is not healthy. It is literally low doses of poison. Now, this is not incorrect. So I would 100% agree with this because of my experience with coffee. The toxins in coffee is actually what caused my autoimmune system to attack my colon and give me ulcerative colitis. So now doesn't mean everybody in the world should avoid coffee, because again, just like everything else we talk about, you as an individual, most people can drink coffee and they're fine. Mm-hmm. So I was a pot a day drinker, and actually I was killing myself. And so I had ulcerative colitis, got diagnosed in 2009. And I was put on a drug that I had to take every day, and I took it for years. And then that's what tanked my kidneys. So that's why I have chronic kidney disease. And I didn't discover it until 2019, when the insurance that year wouldn't cover my medicines. So I stopped taking the medicines, because without the insurance, it was $2,200 a month. I wasn't going to spend that. My problems came back, and then I had to make an appointment with a gastroenterologist, and he was booked until September. And I had this event I was going to in July where I volunteered to do security, and I had to be there at like 5 a.m. every day. And I was now in this point where I couldn't leave my house until noon because I couldn't get off the toilet. And I started doing some research, and the research led me to coffee as being a potential culprit. So I quit coffee cold turkey, and my symptoms disappeared immediately. And I stuck around. I still tested positive for ulcerative colitis until last September, when I had my last colonoscopy, and I came back tested negative for the first time. So I'm officially cured of an incurable autoimmune disease. And it really does come down to coffee. For me, again, millions of people drink this stuff every day, right, and they're fine, but for me,
it still goes back to that. Still goes back to that individuality.
Right. Exactly.
And, and you've got a lot of carnivore influencers, including doctors like Dr. Berry, who still drink their coffee every day. Mm-hmm. Doesn't bother them. They're doing just fine with it. But if you are having issues and you don't know what those issues are, then let's go back to this being an elimination diet and look at plant toxins as being part of your issues. One of them being, like you said, coffee. It has toxins in it. Yes, it does. But there's also some studies that show, and I don't know how accurate they are, and I'm not defending coffee. I don't drink it myself. But there are studies that show that there are some benefits to drinking coffee. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But you're going to have the coffee lovers going to defend those arguments. So once again, we're not dogmatic. Everybody has their own foundation or their own house that they build on the foundation. And if coffee is part of that house, so be it. But if you're having issues, look to the coffee to see if that might be the culprit.
Yeah, I used to defend coffee just the same, so, and then it turned out to be the other way around for me. Yeah.
Right.
And, coffee is a seed, and we know that seeds are the most heavily defended part of a plant, so,
Yes. Yes.
it's not surprised that they're going to be high in plant toxins.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not defending it. Do
Mhm.
I believe you should drink it? No, I don't. But I also believe you should do what is right for you. That's
Right.
what's best for you.
And there's people
Yeah.
that can tolerate some coffee just
Yeah.
fine, just like there's people that can tolerate some spinach. It's got
Okay.
oxalates in it, but
Okay, so-
some people eat it all the time and they're fine.
And
So-
what is my one cheat into the non-meat venue? And for me, that's my jalapenos.
devilish jalapenos.
My devilish jalapenos. It's a nightshade. It
Yep.
ought to be tearing me up, and it doesn't tear me up. I had some
Mhm.
yesterday, in fact. I had some jalapeno poppers yesterday with my meal. So that is my one cheat that I do, and it's the only one I do. But it doesn't bother me. But then again, I don't do them every day either. I'll do them maybe once a month.
Yeah, that and that's key there too. So, if you occasionally have some plant matter, you're probably going to be fine. If you're the spinach smoothie every day and spinach salad,
Right.
then you might have major oxalate problems and kidney stones and things like that.
Correct.
So yeah, what's the expression? The dose
This is the
makes the
poison.
poison. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Rocky
that's what
Fluini.
Kurt was talking. That was the post that Kurt was talking about earlier.
Mhm.
About come on, guys, let's not get dogmatic about this.
Right.
Well-
Yes. If you want to enjoy your coffee, enjoy your coffee. So yes,
I-
it comes from a plant. It's a
I-
seed. Who cares? So go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah. So my example of how I use coffee medicinally to keep choline at my neuromuscular junctions so I can walk with ease.
Right. Yeah. So there's an example where someone's benefiting from the
Benefit,
coffee. Yeah. And I'm completely
I-
on board with plants as medicine, by the way. No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
because
lit up late at night or a little shaky or have my blood pressure go up. But I also can choose to consume it medicinally to keep my motor functions more optimal so that I'm not walking with Canadian crutches all the time.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
I
I use
muscle
I
instead
use
of rest.
I use natto to control my blood pressure, which is fermented soybeans.
Using it as a medicine.
And that at 50 grams a day keeps my blood pressure in check. It provides a lot more health benefits than people realize. It's a vegetable. I don't care. Soybeans are bad for us. It's fermented. Do your research before you take my carnivore card, please.
Okay,
All
I gotta
right.
ask you. I gotta ask you. So, what are Canadian crutches?
They're the crutches that come up, have the cuff around your upper arm and the hand rest down low. They're usually
Okay,
made
like the polio users
I
had.
used I have my own pair because I've
Right.
had to use them repeatedly over the last
Okay.
20 years for extended periods of time.
I just never heard them called Canadian crutches before.
And now I don't need them, and I ski and I paddleboard and I bicycle and I walk and I work out, but I've had times where I was dependent on them to get around. So
All right. So Kurt's always reminding us to hit the thumbs up button and show some love. And yes, thank you for that, because I always forget to ask for that. So yes, please hit this thumbs up, share this live stream wherever you possibly can so others can benefit from it as well. That would be a lovely thing for all of you to do. And also remember, I haven't announced this yet because I pin it, is you are more than welcome to join us on screen here as well. So we've got 4 on the screen right now. My subscription allows me to have 10. So we've got 6 empty seats here at the Carnivore Round Table. So if you have a webcam and a microphone, which most of us do on our devices these days and a little bit of courage, you just need a little bit, then go ahead and click the link that's pinned at the top of the chat. It says StreamYard and join us here on screen. We'd love to have you here and talk to you face to face, as it were. All right. Very good. So let's see here. While I look at the chat, here's another one that came up. And I'm a little on the fence about this one too here. So this one website mentioned eating too much processed meat. I'm not 100% sure I agree with that. Granted, some meats are going to be tainted and maybe have some fillers and sugars in it.
I think that's the key.
Something like that. Yeah, but I actually eat a lot of processed meat because I'm a beef jerky person, but I usually get sugar-free. It hasn't caused much of a problem for me. And we also know that Dr. Berry has put out videos that if all you can afford is sardines, bologna, and Vienna sausages and hot dogs, then do it, because you're still eating a healthier diet than the standard American diet. So this comes with some caveats, I think.
Exactly. And define the processed meat, because hamburger is processed meat. Okay. It just doesn't have the junk in it. You can go down to the store and you can buy processed chorizo that has soy grits in it and sugar and everything else, or you can go to the carniceria and get really good chorizo that doesn't have all that junk in it. And both of them still being processed. You eat a lot of salami, a lot of bologna and stuff like that. It's going to have hidden sugars in it. It's going to have grains in it. If that's all you ate, it's not optimal. But if that's all you can afford, then it's still better than eating a bowl of red beans and rice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Going over here to the chat again, Garuda Legends. I'm going to highlight this just for a reason. So he says, if you drink coffee, you better off being a vegan. Now,
that's 100% wrong.
Yep. I completely disagree with that. But I will say this. Okay. If you have given serious thought to your diet and you've chosen to be a vegan, that's completely fine. I'm just glad you've been thinking about your diet, and hopefully your form of veganism has eliminated the processed junk that man has created. So fortunately for those today who have, whether it's compassion for animals or some other moral reason, choose to be vegan, it can be done today due to technology, and you have to supplement, and that's okay. You couldn't have done it thousands of years ago. I don't think that's where you don't see it. It's not natural when you look at human physiology and the digestive system and stuff. And I mean, go for a walk on a nature trail and try and find yourself 3,000 calories of sustenance in the middle of nowhere. It's almost impossible. You have to hunt for it. And, but if you're on this channel as a vegan and you're watching and listening, I mean, I'm glad you're here. And if you've got some questions, we'll answer them too. And if you want to pop up on the screen, that's fine too, as long as you're not going to be a militant jerk about it. So we love our vegan brothers and sisters, and that's completely okay. But just because you drink coffee doesn't mean you're better off being a vegan. And in no circumstances do I think you are better off being a vegan.
Well, at the risk of being rude, that's just an absurd statement. Totally absurd. And I'm going to tell you what. So if you really believe that, that's fine for you. Believe what you want to believe. But that belief doesn't hold true for everybody. And I want you to go on Dr. Berry's site, and I want you to go on all the influencer sites, and I want you to tell them the same thing, because they all drink coffee and they ain't none of them vegan. And they're better off being meatarians than they are being vegan. So it doesn't make you a vegan. It doesn't make you a vegetarian. And it doesn't make you being better off being that way. Because once again, like we just said, if you can eat 99% carnivore, what sense does it make to say that 1% that you're drinking coffee, allowing that bean in, that bean juice in, as you put it, how is that making you worse off? That makes no sense.
Booby Goat says 97% carnivore, and that's usually how I describe myself too. I say 97% carnivore.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, and anybody, if you're just 90%, you're better
You're still a
off.
carnivore.
You're still carnivore.
You're still a carnivore. Yeah.
That's just an absurd statement. And sorry if that hurts your feelings, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
And yeah, and we're not trying to single you out. I'm doing everything I can to obviously make you feel welcome here. So, but you made the comment: vegans drink coffee. How is coffee? Carnivore, use your brain. So, okay, yes.
I got a better idea. Use your common sense.
So technically, yeah. So if you want to be technical, and see, that's the problem is, we get technical, we get religious, and we become like the overzealous vegans, and maybe we turn this into like a cultish mentality. So yes, of course, coffee is by no means a carnivore food whatsoever. We know that carnivore means animal products. Okay. But also as we talked at the beginning of the program, like, humans are considered hyper carnivores. A hyper carnivore by definition consumes 70% or more of their energy from animal products.
Yep.
Well, that still leaves up to 30% for something else. And so that makes room for coffee, that makes room for some low carb veg, that makes some room for fruit. So if your carnivore centric diet is strict lion, strict carnivore, great. But if it's not, if you're ketovore, if you're keto, if you're animal based, if you're just low carb, 100 grams or less, and that's working for you, then that's also great, so we definitely see the benefit of a carnivore centered meat-based diet here on this channel, but we are not dogmatic on this channel.
No.
And
going back to the animal kingdom, we see herbivores eat meat. We see carnivores eat grass and vegetables. So, even in their world, they stray from their species-specific diet.
Now, I will say, because you mentioned earlier in chats that I didn't put on the screen, that you experienced negative physical symptoms from overconsumption of coffee or just the consumption of coffee. And you don't experience them after having eliminated coffee. And so that's good. I said the same thing about my experience, and that could be the case. There's a lot of people out there, they don't react well to coffee. It's kind of like there's a lot of people out there that are lactose intolerant and can't drink milk. Some people can tolerate it, some people can't. You couldn't, and you found that you thrive without coffee. I certainly thrive without coffee. So you and I have something in common, actually, and that is we both have something negative to say about coffee. But if the other participants on the screen and in the chat like to enjoy their coffee, sure, bless them. You know what? Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not sinning because this isn't a religion. So,
No.
yeah. Terry has a question. I hear people say N equals 1, but I'm not sure what that means. Who would like to answer that?
Case study of one.
There you go.
That's it. Yeah.
It's your own individual experiment.
Becoming your own individual experiment. Learning by making mistakes and correcting them.
When you have something bothering you, and the diet per se isn't working for you, then you have to experiment with different things. Like I said, it's an elimination diet. So going back to the coffee thing, so if I'm having an issue, gut issues, I'm having sleep issues, I'm having histamine issues, whatever, you got to eliminate something. When you eliminate something, you eliminate it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever. And if whatever it is clears up, you just found your demon. If it doesn't clear up, well, go back to drinking it, doing whatever, and see if it still affects you. That is an N of 1. It is your own personal experiment.
So yeah, N basically means a number, and it's a variable. So like if you had a study where you had 100 participants in the study, then you have an N of 100.
Right.
But if you are only experimenting on yourself, then you have an N of 1. So
That's why I
So,
get a kick out of Nick Norris. He is the king of the N of one experiments.
mhm.
And I still love his Oreo experiment.
Yeah, I'm not going to experiment with Oreos on myself. So I'll let
I'm
him
not
do it.
either, but I found it fascinating.
It was fascinating. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was very, very useful, and it's actually caused a lot of discussion and a lot more research too. So,
Mhm.
Hey,
Rick, are you actually
Something happened.
Are you actually up and running again?
Yes, it looks like it if you can hear me.
We can hear you super loud. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. It's better than being quiet, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Very good.
Milton decided to fix my computer for me.
Did you solder his paws together?
No, he's sleeping on top of the old printer. What I did, I got some of that wire wrap wire, the real thin stuff, and I covered over the traces where he burned it. He got a hold of my USB hub, then somehow ripped the wire apart, short-circuited together, smoked the USB connection on the board on my laptop, and basically left me without any interfaces. So that laptop doesn't even have a microphone input, and my camera's USB, so it got screwed up, but I fixed it.
All right. Awesome. Rick can fix anything. That's what I said. If he showed up,
I can't
I'd be
fix
impressed.
stupid.
Well, okay, almost anything. Speaking of stupid, look, check this comment out. Did you guys hear that Bill Gates is now making lab butter?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're right. That's stupid. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes, I did. And so I guess they have a way of chemically making fat
Out of air.
out of air, out of carbon.
Yep.
And okay, but there's going to be no nutrition in it, just like lab grown meat. Where are you going to get the omega-3s and the vitamins and the fat soluble vitamins? It's air. It's literally solidified air. There's nothing in it.
Will run to it.
The sheep will run to it. I mean, I guess you could cook with it, but to what benefit? I don't get it. The whole point of having butter is because it's good for you versus seed oils, which is not good for you. So
one of the best arguments I ever heard for using butter for cooking, for eating butter, whatever. I was watching an episode of Alton Brown. Love watching him because he gets into the scientific aspect of cooking, and he was saying add this amount of butter to this recipe, and he goes, "Yes, I said that right, butter. You know why I use butter? Because it's real food."
Mm-hmm.
That was the best explanation I ever heard. I use butter because it's real food.
Yeah, so I'll be trying lab butter around the same time I'm trying lab grown meat.
There you go.
Which is never. All right. We go and attain Garuda here one more time. So he says coffee addiction is connected to destroying your melatonin lever deplete and will deplete your energy in your body harder than sugar. Okay, so I don't know enough to comment on this, but here's one thing I want to comment on. This again, I bet you there's a lot of individuality here. I read a study the other day. Not the other day. I read the study several months ago, and this is why I want to quit or entertain the idea of quitting Diet Mountain Dew and other caffeinated beverages. There's a certain gene that expresses itself in two ways. Okay. And people that have like gene A, they're a slow caffeine metabolizer, and people with gene B are a fast caffeine metabolizer. The people who have gene A that metabolize it slowly, by the time they have their next morning comes around and they have their next cup, the previous day's caffeine has not been fully excreted from their system because of genetics. The people with the B expression of that gene, they can drink a cup of coffee and they've metabolized it and excreted it within an hour or two. And now what this study has found is that people with gene expression A, the slow metabolizers, usually have higher incidence of chronic kidney disease, like me. And so so that begs the question is, could my caffeine consumption, my lifelong caffeine addiction, have some play in the condition of my kidneys now? I've been blaming it on the drugs that I took for ulcerative colitis, but this is a study that makes you think. And so it might be worth trying to eliminate the caffeine and see if I see some of my vital signs and some of my blood markers improve. So what you're saying there, that coffee addiction is connected to destroying our melatonin lever, that may happen in certain individuals and it may not in others. So, I'm not going to say that what you said is inaccurate. I don't know. So you might actually be more on the up and up here than I am, but I wanted to highlight that individuality still comes into play here when it comes to what we can tolerate on our diet and how strict or how liberal our carnivore centric diet can be. It's definitely an individual thing. So I just thought that was worth bringing out. So, all right. And then, so we see your opinion on coffee, and I'm not here in the chat, but let's just go ahead and you've made it known. Let's go ahead and let it rest moving forward. So, all right. Amy says, I did not have any keto flu when switching from keto to carnivore, but I was carna close enough already. Okay. I was like, what is that? Carna close enough already. Yeah, that's true. That's what we were talking about how keto flu doesn't have to be a thing if you transition there. You were already on your way. All right. Michael says, I've been drinking more coffee since being on carnivore than I did before. No tea anymore, though. And a lot of people say that. So I drink tea now, but a lot of people won't drink tea anymore because tea is, I guess, higher in oxalates than the coffee is. So, and, but also, I don't used to drink a pot a day. Now I only drink 1 cup of tea. And a lot of times, half of it goes cold before I finish it off, and I don't finish it. All right. Yeah, gag order on coffee. I agree. All right, let's talk about something else, like carnivore mistakes. What are some other carnivore mistakes that one might
How about expectations?
All right. Yeah, that sounds good.
Too many people, I see this all the time, especially those that come into carnivore strictly for weight loss. They set expectations, they set goals, and it's generally a mistake because your body will do what it wants to do in its own time. This is a lifestyle. This is something you do for the rest of your life. So you don't set goals with that. You don't set your expectations too high. You're just going to be disappointed. For some people, especially women, because of hormones, they may put on weight for the first 6 months. They will lose slower than others. And so they're the ones that come in thinking, oh, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 1 month. Well, you might gain 5 or 6 pounds in 1 month. You're going to be awful disappointed. So what you need to do is come in and say, I'm going to change my lifestyle. I'm going to change how I eat. And this is how I'm going to eat for the rest of my life. And that's it. And then let the body do what it's going to do. Don't have expectations. Be pleased with what you get. If many of us say, throw away the scale. Okay. Well, I didn't do that because I get a kick out of seeing what my body does depending on how I eat. So I use the scale as a metric to judge what I was eating. Did this cause me to gain a little, or did I seem to lose more when I didn't eat this? And for me, that was my metric for judging eating dairy. Dairy will put weight on me. So I have to be very careful with dairy. I've learned now how to judge my dairy. And it's not near as bad now that I've lost as much weight as I intend to lose. So I can eat more dairy now. But in the beginning, I couldn't. But I didn't have any expectations that I was going to lose 10 pounds a month or a pound a day or whatever. The only expectation I had was to change my lifestyle. And then the healing, and of course, I came into it to heal. heal my heart condition, heal my IBS, heal my Crohn's disease, which I did that, and I did it very quickly. But the weight was just a side benefit. And as I was losing weight, yeah, I got excited about it, but I didn't have expectations. And all of a sudden, one day I was down to my Army weight. And then I thought that was great. And then 90 days later, I'm down to my high school weight. Okay, that's wild. Haven't been here in a long time. And then 6 months goes by, and all of a sudden, I'm down to what I was probably when I was in junior high. I'm down below my high school weight now. And I didn't expect any of it. I had no expectations. So yeah, don't set goals. The only goal you need to set is, this is how I'm going to eat for the rest of my life. My body will optimize itself. It'll do what it wants to do.
Yeah, the first goal is just, change your mind, change your diet. That's actually the name of the book, I think, and start there. Look, there's the terror right there. Milton. Look at Milton. You could have ruined the entire night for Rick. And yet he still treats you with such kindness. Look at that.
Now, back looking at that expectation thing. My husband lost 30 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I gained somewhere between 6 to 10, depending on the day, depending on my stress level, what I've been eating, what carnivore bad choices I've been making, even within carnivore. For me, the bad choices can be dairy, sandwich meat, chicken and pork. I do much better with lamb, seafood, and beef.
And you made an excellent point there when you said stress levels.
Mm-hmm.
The stress levels will do more when you're not reaching your goals. You start stressing about it, and what happens when you stress? It builds up your cortisol. What happens when you got cortisol built up in your body? You get that fight or flight, and it will stall out your weight. You'll gain weight, whatever. So it's very important that you mentioned that.
I'm a little different on that one. I don't make any cortisol.
Oh, really?
I replace all my cortisol androgynously.
Okay.
But that said, as I said, I gained, depending on the day, 6 to 10 pounds over my starting weight. And it's held steady for the nearly 3 years I've been carnivore. But I like my body better. My clothes fit better. I have more energy. I have better cognitive functioning. I sleep better. My skin tone, my muscle tone is better. I'll take the 6 to 10 pounds with all those other improvements any day. But if so for people coming into the diet and they're coming, you expect to heal. It would be what I say. Expect to heal and expect a journey and expect to be surprised and delighted.
There you go. I like that.
Booby Goats here says, what if somebody was listening and reading the chat thinking that about going carnivore, but decides not to because you have to drop coffee? Okay, so we need
Thank
to
you,
clarify
Booby.
that. You don't have to drop coffee. So
Right.
now you might find yourself benefiting from dropping coffee, and you might not. Again, do your own experiment. The thing about this is, there's a lot of leeway here as to what you do. You want to be strict carnivore, you want to be dirty carnivore, you want to be keto, you want to be animal based. All those could be beneficial. They all will be beneficial more than a standard American diet. I can guarantee you that. So, if you want to go paleo or any of those are all going to be wise decisions to get off the standard American junk diet and stop eating processed food. Disease like diabetes and many of these other chronic diseases are a processed food disease. These things didn't exist just a short time ago. they're modern epidemics, modern pandemics, and they're all tied to the rise of processed foods. So the more you go back to nature, whether that's plant or animal, and less man-made food, you're going to see some benefits. Now, as to what needs to be healed, you might have to get more strict, but that depends on you as an individual. So you got guys out there that can eat fruit and honey with their meat, and they're perfectly healthy, run marathons, never get sick, fit as a fiddle. And then you got other people that they can't, they have to be, as soon as they introduce something like fruit or honey, then they get sick, so again, N equals 1. But if you don't want to give up your coffee, don't give up your coffee. If you don't see the progress you're hoping to get, then try getting rid of the coffee, and if you don't notice a benefit, then bring the coffee back in.
That goes with anything else you're eating or consuming.
Exactly. That could be dairy instead of coffee. It could be chicken instead of coffee. It could be pork instead of coffee.
Could be eggs. Yeah. Some people, they can't do cheese. They're super addicted to cheese. Cheese makes them gain weight, and so it could be cheese as well. And there's some people who have histamine intolerance towards beef.
Yep.
And so they have to try and find ways of doing carnivore without what the majority of the rest of us consider the holy grail of carnivore. There's people that they can't eat any beef at all because of the histamines. They have to. So I know one person who can't eat beef. They have to eat bison for their red meat. They get bison and lamb at the store, but they can't eat beef. And most of us can't even imagine that.
There's also carnivores with alpha-gal.
Yeah. That's
alpha-gal syndrome. Yeah, then they can't have any red meat.
Yeah.
But usually they get through it in a number of years. But I know carnivores that do chicken and seafood and eggs.
Seafood.
I know one over in Poland that does nothing but pork because that's all they have, pork and chicken.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I had to give up beef and all I could eat was bison and lamb for the rest of my life, that wouldn't hurt my feelings a bit. Because I love bison.
I'm going to say goodnight. I have to go to Boston tomorrow. It's my annual pulmonary function test to see if I've improved from last year. So.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Aaron. Get some shut-eye, and I hope tomorrow goes well for you.
It was
Good
nice
meeting you.
Nice to meet you, too. Have a good night.
Now I got to figure out how to get out.
Should be a red X on there somewhere down at the bottom.
I'll just close the page. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Let's see if that works. There we go. All right. Maureen says non-nutritive sweeteners still raise insulin, even if it doesn't raise your blood glucose. So that's true for some people, not true for others. Yeah. It's also, there's certain of artificial sweeteners that are more likely to do that than others. So like stevia, I don't get any insulin response to stevia, but I think I do with like sucralose. So I don't have any sucralose.
And I think that's what was in that water I drank yesterday. I think it had sucralose in it.
Yeah. Horrible. And that's the one that's supposed to be made from real sugar. So, so your body's going to react to it like
tasted
real sugar.
I haven't had sugar in 2 years, but it sure didn't taste like the sugar I remember.
Rockin' Keto Amy says, I get cephalic phase insulin response from walking through the bakery aisle just from the smell. I remember an old, dare I invoke this name, an old Bill Cosby comedy routine where he talked about gaining weight just looking at chocolate cake. So, yeah, I used to joke the same thing. Like it seemed like just looking and smelling bakery goods would make me gain weight. Let's see here. I know if I make a carnivore mistake, my body tells me. That's a good comment.
Good job listening to your body.
Mm-hmm. And then tried sparkling water unflavored. I do that from time to time. I usually get the flavored ones because sparkling stuff's, it is what I do. Like San Pellegrino. So All right. And then Tom says, I'm having some cravings, so I'm having 2 pats of butter. That's a good
Excellent.
way to kill some hunger and
Excellent.
kill some cravings. Yep. It's a good trick.
You know, I started, I'll tell you, and I posted it online, that I just found my favorite way to eat butter is to spread it on pork rinds, you know, plain pork rinds. Oh man, what a treat.
I have to try that.
Oh man, it just, it totally woke up the pork rinds, and it was almost decadent. It tasted so good. Maybe I'm just weird, but I loved it.
Maureen says, I make Kiltz's ice cream once in a while. I use 2.5 tablespoons of monk fruit to a quart of cream. That's the only time I use sweetener. Yeah, so monk fruit, I know a lot of people like monk fruit. So
And once again, if it don't bother you,
yeah. So I'll use every once in a while, and we're talking like probably once every 3 months, I'll make a old fashioned and I'll sweeten it with monk fruit.
you know, that's funny. I haven't even made any Kiltz's ice cream this summer.
I
need
have.
to do that.
I do it maybe like once or twice a year. So I always intend to do it more than I actually do. Garuda says, bacon is my weakness. I love bacon from a butcher shop, way less chemical and ingredients. And that brings up a good point too. So like, yeah, you can go get pork belly or support your local rancher to get the cleanest meats you can. So,
Or you can do like me and make your own bacon.
right. Yeah. So that is definitely, an option though. Although I have no problem buying bacon from the store, but yeah, if again, in equals one, if you're sensitive to some of those ingredients, then yeah, get some pork belly, make your own bacon, support your local butcher. That's what we did at Dumas the other day. I got several pounds of bacon, and they're good for about the next 6 weeks in their packaging. So I'm happy about
I
that.
still want you to go to White Feather sometime.
Is that the Butcher Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're not too far from them.
I need to do that. I'm gonna, you know what I do? I'll take this with me and I'll vlog it.
That's what you need to do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You bet.
All right. Let's see here. That's all I had starred. So I think most of us have been interviewed by Dave Mack. You know what? I haven't. I was going to, and then I had that accident. Yeah.
Yeah. And I watched yours. It was a good interview. I liked it.
Oh, you
But
mean mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't have
was
one
his
yet.
first. I was his first.
Yeah, I went and looked it up. It was good.
I was going to do mine a couple months ago, and then I had that ceiling fall on me and cut my face all up, and then I didn't want to do it because I needed to heal. And then I've just forgot to reach back out to him. So.
Yeah, I've done 2 of them with him. You know, one of them an update.
All righty. Okay, so over here on this list, here's something that I'm going to comment on. I'm going to go to the restroom, so I'll be back. But on this list, it says deliberately adding a lot of salt to your diet, and then using herbs, spices, and condiments as potential mistakes. So just some food for thought. Can you take over here, the two of you, and enjoy some conversation? Sure. And I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
All right.
Well, your condiments, if they're not a mineral, they're a vegetable. So, yeah, you got to watch those. In small amounts, are they going to hurt nothing? Probably not. But it's one of those things that, once again, it goes back to the individuality of the person. Now, when I first went carnivore, I was told that pepper was inflammatory, and I was trying to reduce inflammation, so I cut out all pepper. I used only salt. Once I got locked in really good to carnivore and everything was cured, I introduced a little bit of garlic powder back in. Didn't bother me a bit. I introduced some black pepper back in. And I started noticing some inflammation in my knuckles, in my hands. I've got arthritis in my hands pretty bad. I was a mechanic for 41 years. My hands are wore out. And so and I love to brag on this. It's one of the cures I've experienced in carnivore. I've got a brace on this hand right now on this finger, but you know, for the last 5 or 6 years of my career, I couldn't completely close my hand. I couldn't make a fist. You know, that was all I could do. And within 3 months of being on carnivore, I could make a complete fist. So the inflammation had left, but it's still stiff, and it can still hurt, especially if I have to use my hands a lot in one day. And here with me moving and everything, I've been using my hands a lot. In fact, I've injured one of my fingers. That's why I'm wearing a finger brace. But the thing is, when I reintroduced pepper in, I felt it. I noticed it. I noticed my knuckles starting to hurt again. I noticed that they were really hurting when I'd make a fist, more so than before. So I've cut the pepper back out. The inflammation went away. So this is one of those things you got to look at what you're putting in. I suggest anybody first starting out, for at least the first 6 months, if not even a year, just use salt. Don't use anything else. And I don't believe you can oversalt, because your body is smart enough to tell you if you oversalt. You'll know it. If it's too salty, if it tastes too salty, you've oversalted. And many people, like you take Anthony Chafee and some of the others, many of them get to the point where they just quit using salt altogether because they're getting everything they need from their meat. I'm not to that point yet, but I may get that way someday. I still like to use my salt. But as far as the condiments, if you're going to use them, like, okay, down here, we use a lot of rubs on our meat. We do a lot of smoking. I have found that I like just using a little bit of garlic, salt, and a little bit of white pepper. White pepper doesn't bother me for my rubs on my briskets and on my ribs. But I have come across some rubs that when I look at them, the ingredients are fairly clean. It's mostly just, paprika, maybe some kind of peppers. But the ones I would avoid is the ones that have sugar in them, and know the names of the sugars. There's 75 different names for sugars. So they will hide them in there. They'll call them different things, just like in your table salt. If you're using table salt, get rid of that stuff because it's got sugar in it. But, in the beginning, stay away from all that stuff. Just use salt. Later on, you want to introduce something back in, introduce one thing at a time. And if it doesn't affect you, okay, that's something you can use, but I would still use it moderately because it's still a vegetable for the most part. But make sure everything you're using is clean.
All right. I was thinking of, it mentioned deliberately adding a lot of salt to your diet. And I'm kind of with you, like, you can salt to taste and you're probably going to be just fine. Because you're consuming less sodium than you would have been before when you were eating a standard American diet. You were getting all kinds of sodium in fast food,
In the processed food.
The processed foods. So you eliminate all that, and your sodium consumption actually drops. So then you can take a salt shaker with some pink Himalayan salt or Celtic sea salt or something like that, and you can season your food to taste just fine. Now,
and we're peeing it out,
right?
We lose more fluid now. And so once again, we're flushing it out of our system. Now, in my case, what I do, okay, so today I had two three egg cheese omelets, and then a couple of fatty pork spare ribs. And I used pink Himalayan salt in the omelets. And then when the omelets were cooked, I put some Malden's flake salt on there, and it's just perfect for me. And I salt my water every time I pour me a cup of water. I shake a few shakes of Himalayan salt in there. Now I'm using salt in my water, one, because I'm doing a lot of heavy duty lifting and work out in the heat, down here, and so I'm doing a lot of sweating. So I'm putting salt in my water. And then it's a twofold thing because I've also started a regimen of iodine in my water, for a cancer regimen. And so the salt, according to Thomas Seyfried, the salt is important with the iodine because it helps the iodine absorb into the body better. And so it's one of the main reasons why I'm salting my water right now. But I have not found an aversion yet to salt.
Yeah, I was thinking of, we had a user over on carnivoretalk.com in the forums named Monica, who talked about her blood pressure had been rising and that she was taking a lot of iodine, like a lot, and she was doing a practice that she called salt loading. And that means taking a significant amount of extra salt. And so, and I remember advising her that maybe she needs to back off the salt and back off the iodine, and
Because that can bring your blood pressure up.
right, yeah. So
what's the first thing they do when you go in the hospital and your blood pressure's low? They're going to stick a bag of saline in you.
Right, yeah. And so she called it salt loading, and when I looked that up, and that was the practice of purposefully consuming lots of salt. So I think in that context, yes, that would be a bad idea. And she heard this from some sort of health practitioner that she sees, and she was doing it for thyroid reasons. But that's why, we had a health coach on here a couple of weeks ago that recommended that, before you go overboard on iodine and some of these things, to, maybe get your labs and see where you're deficient, and then when you're taking these things, maybe get your labs and make sure you're not getting too much. Might be less important for someone with healthy kidneys, but that's actually super important advice for someone like me who does not have healthy kidneys, because my levels of things can get way out of whack because my kidneys don't do their job like yours do, and so can that be a carnivore mistake? I would never think of it as a carnivore mistake. I would think of it as a oversalting mistake. So, all right.
And I haven't heard of anybody oversalting, because like I said, the body's smart enough to say, hey, woo, I don't like that. That's too much. Back off.
If you oversalt, you're not going to eat it. That's kind of what it comes down to. Gruda says, I apologize. I just care about human health. I love you all. Okay, well, very good. Thank you very much. And there's another thing we have in common. We all care about human health. So,
yes.
Yeah. And the things that you said, there are certain individuals that could be the home run hit for them. That might be what someone needed to hear,
It's not that you were saying anything wrong. It was all in the context of what you were saying.
Yeah.
You were making blanket statements that didn't need to be made like that, because once again, as we keep preaching, everybody's different.
Brian says, Jeff, common sense is long gone except for us older folks. It does seem like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. It ain't as common as it used to be.
All right. So, Rick, how was your day today? Besides your computer.
Well, I've been doing all kinds of technical work. I'm trying to get my phone system working, but I got all these motherboards and they're all messed up. They all got swollen capacitors and the heat sink's broken, and I don't know. It's just a bunch of old hardware, but I'm stuck with them because I need these PCI slots because my interface cards, they use PCI and none of the new motherboards have it. So I have to go through all my junk. Here's my original one. Seems to be in good shape, but it won't post. If I take the memory out of it, it'll give me an error. Put the memory in, it doesn't do anything. So I don't know what's wrong. I changed the CPU and everything. Who knows? I haven't been to the dump, so maybe I'll look around if I can find some junk computers somewhere. I can fix that. But I worked until Saturday. I mean, I had my live in the morning. I finished my electrical and the air conditioning job, but I wasn't feeling good because at the one job, one of the guys I work with gave me some of his flavored water. At least I thought it was, but they mixed it up and it was a Gatorade instead. And I got so sick off of that. Not only did I get a headache, I got diarrhea, stomach ache, and felt awful. So I suffered with that thing until yesterday.
Your
Finally
body's
today,
too pure.
whatever it is, it was bad. Because
Yeah.
last night I got up in the middle of the night. Well, first of all, Milton, he managed to, I forgot to bring in my water, and then I forgot to bring in my portable urinal. And then Milton he got the door open somehow. He jumped on the bed and cuddled up to me. And then he got me with the claws in the middle of the night. I had to put him out. You know how cats are. They just can't resist stretching. And then I woke up again, take a leak, and it's like, I got to go to the bathroom. So I barely made it to the bathroom, and I had my diarrhea event. But yeah, whatever it was, and these guys drink this stuff all the time. I mean, they had this commercial years ago for Gatorade. It says, I think it was, "Is it in you?" or something like that.
Yeah.
I was joking. I said, no, it went right out of me. But I guess when you've been carnivore as long as I have, every little thing bothers you. I've
Yeah.
had people give me meat and they had put some seasoning on it and it bothered me. You talk about the rub. I hate that stuff. I always wash it off with a garden hose. I ask him, why do you put that on there? Well, you can't cook meat without a rub.
Oh,
Why
yeah,
not?
you can.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know
Salt
why
works
they do
just
it.
fine.
Yeah, well, that's it. I don't even salt my meat. I
Well,
don't
and-
salt.
and, you know, that's
Mhm.
one of the things that I've noticed since becoming a carnivore is my taste buds have changed. I actually taste the meat now.
That's right. You know, and it doesn't matter what the meat is. There's certain meats I really like. Beef is one of them, and lamb and goat. You know, they do have goat meat for sale sometimes in the Cuban market. I
Goat
like pretty
meat's
much
great.
every. Yeah, the only meat I don't like is white meat chicken. I've never liked white meat chicken. I find it tasteless. It's
Yeah.
fibrous. It's hard to swallow. I have to drink a bunch of water, but I do use it to make a crust for my pacemaker pizza, so it's not totally worthless.
It can be
Yeah,
very dry. Yeah.
yeah, I have to cut it up and just drown it in butter. It's the only way I can eat that white, and it's not worth doing.
No,
It's just not worth it.
what I do with the white meat, I'll blend it up with eggs and I blend it up with cheese. And then I make a pizza dough out of it and then I deep fry it in lard. And then I can put my cheese and meat and other pizza toppings on it and make my famous or infamous pacemaker pizza. The only pizza that's deep fried in pure lard for
Yeah.
maximum heart destroying effect.
Yeah, the longer we go without this stuff, the more sensitive our bodies get to the poisons that are in it.
And that's the other thing. It's not just the food. It's the colognes. It's the soaps. My neighbor, when they wash clothes, the dryer vent is near the side of the house and the smell makes me feel sick because they use some kind of fabric softener. Most of the people, I work on customer cars. They all have those car fresheners. Those things bother me. I mean, there's just so many common chemicals that destroy me. You go in a house, they use that cleaner, you know, the carpet cleaner, or they have the plug-in air freshener, like the Glade plug-in with the
Right.
oil in it. That thing will make me feel like throwing up. It's really bad.
None of those are any good for us.
Exactly. But it seems like anytime there's something toxic, it has a bad effect on me.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to get away from all that stuff. I'm trying to use natural soaps. I've been studying on how to make my own soap.
I do it.
Once I get into my new place, I'm going to start making my own soap. But the more natural we can get, the better off we are. And
That's right.
You know, my wife has found me some natural soaps that I can buy. They're a little expensive, so I'm going to have to start making my own.
Yeah, I make the soap really cheap. I use the lard or tallow when it's no longer good for cooking and it starts to turn brown, and I'll mix that with an alkali. When I used to be able to get it, I used sodium hydroxide, but now
Yeah.
I have to use wood ashes and make a potassium hydroxide. But that's how I make my soap. And I wash my clothes with washing soda and or sodium tetraborate. So that's it. I don't use the Tide Pods that a lot of people use. I don't use fabric softener. I don't use any of that stuff.
Do
I
you
just do it.
do you have to stick strictly with natural fibers on your clothing?
Well, generally, yes. All my clothes are cotton or hemp. But what I do, I generally wear an undershirt under my other clothes. Now, this might be one of the hemp ones. They're a little darker, but that's what I do. So I wear the cotton or hemp underwear. If I have to wear something that's a blend, it's worn on top of it. I
Right.
never wear any synthetic fabrics on my skin, but I guess that's just a preference.
Yeah, my son was having problems, skin problems, and he's carnivore, and he figured it out. It was one, the detergent he was using to wash his clothes, and two, the materials that his clothes are made out of. He can't wear polyester or any of that fake man-made stuff. And
If I wear that,
unfortunately, some of the clothes he has to wear on the job site, he has to wear fire protective clothing. And so a lot of that stuff is made out of man-made stuff, and it has, chemicals in it. So it's kind of hard on him.
that's it. Well, I mean, when I wear fabrics that are not natural, if I start to sweat, I'll get a rash, and
Yeah.
usually I'll get it like right in this area, or sometimes back here, whatever the clothes touch the skin. So that's why
what
I
he
wear it
gets
under.
is a rash.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. And I've had this problem for years, and it's ever since I've been carnivore, since I was a teenager.
Yeah,
I've just had that.
if you ever want to know, for anybody that thinks there's no poisons in the food that we eat, the processed foods and what we eat, go clean for a while and then go back and try to eat that stuff, and you'll see how it affects your body, and that'll tell you you've been ingesting poison all these years.
I remember when I've tried to eat regular pizza, it's in 3 hours, it's like a laxative, and it's a powerful one. And the funny thing is, it doesn't really taste that bad when you eat it. I don't like the smell of it. If it's been sitting around for a while, it'll make me sick. But I've done experiments. I've eaten slices of pizza. It was okay as long as you get the one with the meat on it. The cheese one doesn't appeal to me. But within 3 hours, let me tell you, it's bad.
Yeah.
And I did it because my mom liked pizza. She wouldn't eat the pizza that I made because she said it was like a chicken hamburger. That's what she called it. Says it tastes like a chicken hamburger. That's what it is. Crust is chicken and cheese, and there's hamburger, there's other meats mixed in. My mom I put mushrooms in there. I don't have a problem with that. But the regular pizza tears me up, and I can't eat bread. Bread is the worst.
Yeah.
That destroys me.
It scares me. It scares me to the point that I won't touch it. And I love pizza. It's my favorite food. In fact, I've always said, if I'm on death row, my last meal, it's going to be a pizza. It's going to be pizza and a half gallon of Bluebell ice cream. And the pizza is going to have to come from Caparelli's Pizza down in San Antonio. Because I'm not going to live long enough to feel the effects of it. But I'm going to enjoy it. But I'm scared to even try to cheat with any of that, because I'm afraid of what it'll do to my body now that I've been clean for 2 years.
Well, the thing is, I don't really call it a cheat, because I always thought cheating was something that gives you an advantage. But when you lower yourself to duck food, you're not really getting an advantage. It's basically like you're punishing yourself. So instead of cheating, you're torturing yourself.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
My problem is I just don't see these things as being any kind of treat. I see them as a downgrade.
Yeah, I don't see it as food.
Exactly. Now, you put a big old steak in front of me, or there's a big fat Muscovy duck running around in my yard, that's a treat for me. I grab a hold of Mr. Ducky, and in a couple hours, I'm going to be enjoying the most delicious duck meat. Well, actually, the best way is catch him and keep him for a month, and then enjoy the duck meat.
Feed him out.
That's it. Feed them all that tropical fruit and grass, and, all the stuff, the bugs, the roach farm, all the stuff they love. And they'll gain weight and get big and fat and tender. And then off comes the head. And before you know it, they're plunged in the boiling water in a couple hours.
Yeah, you're killing me here, because down there to park in town, there's a Muscovy duck running around there, Man, you're tempting me.
They're flavorful. Milton.
All right. Well, thanks for that. I was able to catch up on some comments, and I starred some ones. So I like it when I'm able to do that. So here's some. We'll go through a few of these here. Doesn't Bart K say if you eat 70% animal products, you are carnivore? Yes.
Rick says it too.
Yep. And that's true. Hypercarnivore, 70%.
Facultative carnivore.
facultative carnivore. We've talked about this like throughout the night tonight. Well, you mentioned Bart K. I remember when, you know, I think it was Lily Kane released a video saying that she had quit the carnivore diet, and then she described what her eating was currently. And Bart reviewed the video and was like, Lily, you're still eating carnivore. Because she was still eating mostly meat. And she just added a few other things back in, you know, and she had her reasons, and that's completely okay. So she's a certified health coach. So, you know, maybe that means she knows what she's doing too. Just saying, you know. Latro says, why blocked? And I don't know what this means. I haven't blocked you, and I can see your comment, so I'm not sure what that means. Tom asks, if you said n equals 1,000, is that a case study of 1,000? Yes. That means your subject group had 1,000 people in it. And so that would be correct.
Yeah, so your N of 1 is your own personal experiment.
Yeah. Latro says, wouldn't trust anything from Gates.
Of
And, you know,
course not.
so this is kind of interesting. All right. So growing up, you know, I was a computer nerd. I'm a big fan of Microsoft. I've actually always been fond of Bill Gates until he stepped out of the computer world, and then he's tried to step into the nutrition world. And then like the lab grown meat, the butter thing. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I do think that's kind of goofy.
It's not just stepping into the nutrition world, Bob. It is stepping into the world of thinking you know better than anybody else, and you're going to dictate to me and try to tell me how I'm going to live my life.
Okay, well, I don't know enough about it to say that that's the way he's presenting.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Okay.
He's trying to control everything. He's buying up all the farmland so that he can control everything. And he's going to tell us how to eat. He goes to these worldwide conferences, you know, and he preaches how we should depopulate, how we should eat this, how we should eat that. He's trying to control all this. So
I wouldn't know because I don't pay that much attention to him. So yeah. And I know he's also criticized for something he came out with that you can spray on fruit that stops it from going bad. And it might not be good to consume when you eat into the skin of an apple or something. Again, I don't know, but anything that has to do with the nutrition sphere, I've heard nothing but negative things about. But
I see nothing but evil coming from that man.
Yeah, but before that, you know, when he was just doing Microsoft and computer stuff, you know, it's like, hey, you know, this guy's pretty brilliant, so he should have stayed in his lane, I guess. Kurt said, thanks, everyone. I'm heading to bed early. Wish me luck on my last 20 hours of a 72-hour fast. All right, you can do it.
Good luck.
Milton says you can do it. Although after 60-some hours of fasting, Milton might be looking pretty tasty right about now. Rick, have you ever had cat?
No, I'm not from the Haitian grill.
Oh, okay.
Or the Chinese restaurant. We used to call that the cat and dog.
You're
the
not
meow
from,
wow platter.
You're not from Springfield, Ohio up here, huh?
Kamel is Haitian grill. We cook anything. No, you know, this does not look tasty to me. I mean, we don't eat carnivores. See? This is not this.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. We don't usually eat other carnivores. So
Nope.
Latro says, I just had my first fluorescein angiography retinal scans. There was the first indication of minor capillary leakage. I recommend getting checked if you are a senior with diabetes for a while. Now, okay, so I don't know what that is entirely, but it sounded like good advice, so that's why I put it on the screen. Retinal scan, obviously, and capillary leakage. So obviously that's looking at the blood vessels in your eye. So, and I know diabetes can mess with people's vision, and so maybe that's where the damage is done. I'm putting that together, by the way. So, all right, what you got there, Rick?
It's a heat sink off of the computer, and Milton was playing with it.
Ah.
So
Add
you're training your cat to eat your computer stuff.
Right.
Okay, well, you get what you deserve then.
Oh, he figured it out on his own. That's the problem.
Here's a good carnivore mistake from Catlin, the bariatric carnivore, expecting carnivore to cure everything, expecting skin issues to clear up in 6 weeks. Everyone is different.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Yep, that's true. So
Yes.
carnivore definitely can benefit a lot. It doesn't mean it's a cure-all.
No.
And it doesn't mean, and it's not going to make you immortal or anything of the like. So that's absolutely correct. So, and your skin issues, they might not take 6 weeks. They might take 2 years, and the skin issues might initially get worse before they get better. So, there's I've seen experiences like that as well. So yeah, that's a good comment right there. All right. So where pigs fly farm says, with your colitis, did you have histamine issues? Do you take any supplements? I'm unaware of any histamine issues. Yeah, I don't think so. I have like almost zero allergies. The only thing that ever I sneeze with dust and pollen, and it'll burn my eyes if I rub my eyes, and that's about it. No food allergies that I'm aware of. No food sensitivities that I'm aware of. Do I take any supplements? I used to be a vitamin junkie. I took a GNC men's multivitamin every day. I don't do that since I've gone carnivore, because we learned that a multivitamin is kind of useless. You're already getting everything you need from the meat. I still take EPA, which is a fish oil, and I still take vitamin D and vitamin K2. And that's about it. And then lately I started taking nitric oxide precursors to try and help me get my blood pressure down, but that's not doing anything. So I probably won't continue that. So that's all the supplements I take. So I don't think that the colitis had anything to do with any supplements I was taking or any food I was eating, because the only thing I changed was coffee. And then that cured my symptoms, allowed me to be off drugs. But then I never tested negative on the biopsy until after I started carnivore. So I think coffee was my biggest problem, whatever toxins were in coffee. And then when I went carnivore, that was like the icing on the cake that cleared the rest of it up permanently. So that's my colitis experience and the way I perceive it and the way I tell it for now. So old Hilly's in the house. He was grilling pork steaks and he can't type with his mouth full. Can't type with your mouth full. Okay.
Okay. Can you walk and chew at the same time? I'm just curious.
Lexus is on day 70 of carnivore. I feel
deal.
so much better now that my sister's doing better too. All right. That's good
Congratulations.
news. I'm glad to hear it. All right. Keep on keeping on. Bob, have you read the book by Gary Taubes, Rethinking Diabetes? I have not. Let me see if it's on my Audible playlist. I was subscribed to Audible for a while, and I have a bunch of books in my library. And but then I canceled my subscription. The books are still in my library though, and the reason is because I just couldn't keep up. So I think I do have some of Taubes' books. I have Good Calories, Bad Calories, and I think that's the only one. I have a bunch by Robert Lustig that I got to do yet. So yeah, so I don't have that one. I have Good Calories, Bad Calories, which I haven't listened to yet. It's 25 hours of listening. All right. Garuda says, I'm from the Caribbean. We love fish and local fruit. We are adapted to the diet. Rice and beans is toxic to us. So accurate. Yeah. All right. Very good. Yeah. If you get,
Regionalities.
regionalities. I have nothing against fish. I have nothing against fruit. And yeah, and you being from the Caribbean makes sense, and that's actually pretty accurate. Like those whose legacy, their lineage traces back to like warmer climates around the equator, then they can thrive on a more carb heavy diet, with the tropical fruits and stuff like that. And then those whose lineage traces back to more northern climates where agriculture was limited to maybe just like a 1 month harvest out of the year, they ate mostly meat, out of the year, 11 months out of the year, then they're less likely to thrive on a carb heavy diet. So they need to,
It's
they're
like
better off on a more meat based
Northern Europeans like me, of European heritage, German and Scandinavian, we're not lactose intolerant. We can eat milk. We can eat cheese. Then on the other extreme, a lot of Asians, they can eat rice, no problems, and still stay skinny.
Mm-hmm.
You take a typical American, typical boy like me, you want to put weight on, sock the rice and gravy to him. He'll put the weight on fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so by the way, I still eat some fruit too, just like I drink some tea, once in a while, like once in a long while. So I'm not averse to it, but it's definitely not part of my day.
You're eating fresh off your own tree, naturally ripened, and a few times a year.
For the most part, yeah. So I'll occasionally might grab something from the store, but that's like super rare. But yeah, I eat off my own trees in the back when that's seasonal. So you got June or July, early July is cherries, August is apples, and even then I don't do anything to treat the trees. So you got to sit there and look for ones that don't have a little worm in them. So yeah. But I go out to eat, and I will occasionally have the side of broccoli. I will occasionally. Did broccoli cause you pain?
The menace. He's trying to get my slide. He knocked over my slides. I'm trying to put this back together, and he wants to mess it up.
Papa Carnivore says, what I learned through my divorce 13 years ago is 1, you can't change what others think. And 2, I don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with me. So very good.
Mental health.
Yep. So I like that. You can't change what others think. I think that's very appropriate too. When we're talking to others, trying to tell others about our lifestyle, how many of us then come back here or come back to the forum and talk about how frustrated we are that we can't get through to someone, and we see them getting sick and falling apart, and we know we've got the advice that could help them, put them on the path of healing, and maybe even turn their lives completely around, but they just won't listen.
That's why all you can do is be a good example.
Yeah, that's why I highlighted that comment. So that was the truth there. I didn't have nothing.
Yeah, I've got two friends that I hadn't seen in quite a while that are now carnivore, and their wives are carnivore, and both their wives are diabetic, and they're all 4 carnivore now, simply because of my example. I didn't preach to them. We met up, we went out to eat, and they're just like, wow, you're half the man you used to be. And when they see what I eat, they're like, and that's all you do? I said, yeah, that's all I do. And so then they ask questions and I answer their questions. And now I've got them all on carnivore and they're thriving.
That's why nobody listens to me. I was never overweight.
Rock Roll asks, I'm carnivore 1 year now. How do you all feel about hot dogs? Sometimes when I'm hungry on the drive home from work, I swing by Costco and get a hot dog. Of course, no bun. Is that still carnivore? And I'm going to say yes. Yep.
Yes,
that's fine.
Absolutely. Is it optimal? Is the best? No. But I feed hot dogs to my dogs because it's cheaper than dog food, and they're thriving on it. And I will admit, every once in a while, if I want something quick to eat, or I got a slight little hunger pang in the morning, and I don't want to eat a meal, I'll grab a hot dog. I'll steal one from the dogs. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with a hot dog. I just wouldn't want to eat it all the time, because when you look at the ingredients, generally going to have sugar in it, generally going to have some kind of grain fillers in it. So if you ate them all the time, they could possibly cause some issues.
Yeah. So a hot dog once in a while is gonna be no big deal. But yeah, like so if you had like 3 hot dogs for breakfast, 3 hot dogs for lunch, and 4 hot dogs for dinner, then it might stall you
Right.
out. Might not be the greatest. So, but yeah, to have an occasional hot dog is gonna be just fine. So, remember Dr. Barry said that hot dogs, Vienna sausages, bologna, if that's sardines, if that's all you can afford, that's still 100 times better than the standard American diet. And
And
you can do a carnivore diet using processed meats and succeed.
even as a
It's
treat,
possible.
you go to a friend's house, they're having a cookout, and they got hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill, and all you're going to eat is the meat. Go ahead and eat a hamburger. They taste good. Or a hot dog. They taste good. Once in a while, it ain't going to hurt you. If
Right.
it does hurt you, then you shouldn't eat it.
Right. Yeah. Your body will
That's
let
the
you know.
main thing. If it's
Yeah.
not bothering your body, you're probably doing okay.
Yeah. So I think you're fine. So. All right. Jamette says, I love those Egg Life wraps. You and Russ got me into them. Yum. Egg Life wraps rule. Yes, I
bet.
do. You know what? That down at my local Meijer, they've got the plain, and then they've got Southwestern, and they just brought in one that's like roasted garlic and something. It's in a green package. I picked up that, but yeah, I love Egg Life wraps. So
Yeah, I use
because you can make convenience food out of them. You can get some Egg Life wrap. I get some Egg Life wraps and some beef bologna and some avocado oil mayonnaise, and just make myself a snack, midway through the day. So
and I've mentioned it before. I'll like take mine and I'll brush them with butter, and I'll toast them in the skillet, on both sides, and they really come out good that way when you make tacos out of them.
oh yeah, and that's probably what I get the most use out of them is tacos when I do taco night. And then I also get this like Philly steak meat that comes frozen, and you put it in a pan and it's all shaved. I'll make like Philly steaks with it, and the Egg Life wraps is perfect for that. Garuda said, what gave me gout inflammation is eating refined wheat like bread. I can't even put on my boots when that happens. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Gout comes from the processed foods and the sugars.
Oxalates.
Yep. It doesn't come from the meats.
Exactly.
So, I had one gout attack, and it was back when I was doing a very plant-based diet.
Mm-hmm.
Rock and Keto Amy says, I almost didn't want to try carnivore because of the dogmatic behavior of some individuals. And remember, that's just some individuals. Okay. And, there are carnivore purists. There are carnivore police. There are carnivore zealots. There are carnivore cultists. Unfortunately, that's just human nature. Just like there's the militant vegans, but not all of them are militant, and preachy and trying to push it down your throat. So it's not a religion. So that's why this channel exists. That's why this Monday Night Live exists, and that's why we talk all the time about a carnivore-centric diet and what being a hyper carnivore really is, because we're trying to not be dogmatic here. So if you want to be strict for your own reasons, that's fine, but you cannot tell others that they have to diet exactly like you do.
Right.
And or else you're not a
forum,
real carnivore. What's that even? You're not a real. It's not. It's quit labeling people. It's not a club.
No, on Carnivore Talk, on the Carnivore Talk forum, I've been told I'm the strictest carnivore on there, and yet I still have my jalapenos, about once a month. But we've got a lot of people in there that'll eat veg every day.
Mm-hmm.
They're not carnivore; they're more ketovore. And that's fine. We don't judge anybody on there. I know when Meathead first got on there and he mentioned eating natto, I happened to mention to him about soy and how soy is not good for men especially. And we ended up getting into a heated discussion on there. And we eventually got it straightened out and realized that the written word doesn't always communicate what our feelings are when we're talking. And even though I'm named after a famous writer, I'm not a good writer, so I'm not good at conveying putting out an inflection in my writing that conveys my emotions. And so, you know, he took me wrong, and it got a little heated, and he got defensive, and we got it straightened out, and now we're friends. We talk to each other offline. You know, one of these days he's going to come down here to Texas, come hunt with me. You know, we're friends now. But the thing is, we don't judge anybody. Now, we may tell you the truth about something, but that doesn't mean we're judging you if that's the direction you choose to go. And Amy, you're always welcome over in our forum. We will never judge you. You will never, you can eat whatever you want. You can eat popsicles and ice cream every day for all I care. That's up to you.
All right. Very good. Well said. Garuda says, this is why I eat tomatoes and salt. It will add electrolytes to the water in my body. And again, that's fine. You know what? I still like a tomato once in a while. You know, I am not anti-plant. So, and hopefully you've been on now for the last 2.5 hours. So hopefully you see that. So, yep.
And speaking
Hey,
of
I'm a
2.5
gardener.
hours, I'm already over my limit. I'm going to go ahead and sign off.
All right, Jeff. Well, thanks for the topic idea, and
I enjoyed it. This was a good one.
Yeah, and for all your contributions, and thanks for sticking it out 2.5 hours. We really appreciate it. I'm going to try and wrap this up too. I'm going to try and I started some comments and then put them on the screen. I came back to the live feed and realized there's a zillion more. So I'm going to try and look through.
You get through it faster without me doing all my ratchet job. So
I'm going to try and highlight some of these, and then I'm going to say goodnight too. So, all right, yeah, good night, Jeff. We'll see you on the forums throughout the week, and we'll see you next Monday. All right, Rick.
Good job, Rick. Good night.
Milton won't get it now.
All right, all put back together.
Now I can latch it and safe from Milton. There we go.
All right. He's locking them out.
That's it. Somehow he knocked it off the shelf and then it hit the floor and opened up. Milton, are you looking at this again? You silly cat. Look at you, silly little thing. You're a bad kitty. You know that?
Papa Carnivore says it.
You're a bad kitty. You're so cute. Look at that beautiful animal. Look at that face. Oh, so cute.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna bite? You silly little thing.
He is cute.
Oh, he's a cute little. Look at that little cat. He looks like a little Black Panther.
Yeah, he does. He's like, I'm innocent. I don't know what he's talking about.
Look at that shape of that head, just like a panther.
Uh-huh.
Okay. There you go.
Here's interesting here. Papa Carnivore mentions that black pepper is bad for him. And then Granny Dee says white pepper has less oxalates. You know, I don't think I've ever had white pepper. And black pepper doesn't bother me any. So
I use no pepper. I have no spices.
I hardly ever use it. So I
never saw the need for it.
Every once in a while, I'm just like, this is bland. Let me do something to spice it up. And I'll use a little pepper. But I actually prefer this seasoning I have. This a combination of like onion powder and garlic powder. I like that better.
I got friends that are always saying it's bland. I got to jack it up, and they like peppers. So I was growing Scotch bonnet peppers, the hottest ones. I said, okay, I'll jack it up for you. I put so much hot sauce on there, their eyes were watering.
I like hot. Do you like hot sauce? I like hot sauce.
No, I don't like anything. I don't like hot sauce.
Yeah. I used to really be into it. Like I used to go to, wing night and try and get the hottest sauce ever. I used to have hot sauce face-offs with my friends who could eat the hottest sauce. I was really into that. And sometimes, yeah, you would pay. Your stomach would be like, that was not cool, especially the next day. But yeah, since I've started carnivore, once in a while I get a little hot sauce on something, but that whole mentality of like, wanting to torture myself with hot sauce, I just don't have no desire to do that anymore.
I got a friend like that. Whenever I make chili, he wants it hot. So that's why I got my little Carolina Reaper and habaneros. I got a bunch of peppers out there. and those things are extremely hot. You need goggles when you cut them open.
So I've eaten jalapenos off the vine before, and they didn't
Mhm.
bother me. I mean, they were, they were hot, but then not jalapenos. And then one time I was over at my sister-in-law's house, and we were walking around in the garden, and I'm like, "What's that? What's this pepper down here?" And she's like, "That's a habanero." I'm like, "Can I have one?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And so like I've had like habanero salsa, at the restaurant. So I reached down and I plucked this habanero off, and I bite into it like an apple. Oh my God, that was the biggest mistake I ever made. I didn't know habaneros in their pure form was that freaking hot. But I was trying to drink water, eat ice cream, eat white bread, and I mean, like
Lard.
nothing would
Use
put the
lard.
lard, nothing would
Lard
put the fire
fixes it.
out. I suffered for about 45 minutes before it finally went away.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So never again. Rick says you can make his pacemaker pizza with homemade red sauce. Yeah. So
That's right.
Would that be a tomato?
That is fermented tomatoes.
Fermented tomatoes. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yep. Yummy, yummy. All right.
It's the only pizza sauce that doesn't give me diarrhea. And it does taste really good.
Mhm.
Between the cheese, the fermented tomatoes, you can even put onions in there if you want. I got fermented onions. I got jars full of them that I grow. So it's a really awesome pizza. Think about like a delicious hamburger with fried chicken and
Mhm.
cheese. And that's the pacemaker pizza.
That sounds good. Yeah.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
And
I would
unlike
call that.
regular pizza, it tastes better when cold.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Yeah,
doesn't smell like
I was not a fan of cold pizza. I never understood why people could eat that. I could never do it.
Mm-hmm.
Granny Dee Dee says, I bought all the keto flours and won't use them since learning about oxalates. I'm not quite the same way, but I mean, I can relate to this experience because I bought a big, huge bag of almond flour from Sam's Club because I fell in love with Fathead's pizza crust. And I was making all kinds of goodies out of almond flour. And then I went carnivore and I never looked back. And it ended up expiring, so I had to throw it out. So, or at least it got past this, best if used by date. So, and now I just don't feel like doing it again. Yeah, I don't, because like I feel so much better now that I've cut almond flour, and a lot of those heavy oxalates out of my diet.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you one thing though. If you did want to eat a carbohydrate-rich food, there's only one that I can eat without getting sick, and that's plantains from my yard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Instead of a potato, because potatoes make me ill. I can't eat them.
So, like the last time I went out for a seafood boil, they usually the bag usually comes with steamed corn and some little red potatoes in it, and I did have a couple potatoes, and it didn't bother me at all. And they were just tiny ones. So, and again, that's going out for seafood boil is a rare treat, So, and usually I don't partake of that, but I was still kind of hungry, and I'm like, well, I might as well. I'll eat a couple of these potatoes. It ain't gonna kill me. So, but that's it. That's all the potato I've had in years. And I used to be a French fry guy. French fries buried in vinegar or ketchup. That was my jam.
I never understood that whole ketchup thing. That's nasty.
Yeah, I couldn't eat the potato. I couldn't eat the French fry plain. So now I don't eat French fry at all. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a kid, they used to have the McDonald's fries. They were pretty good. But when I got to high school, they tasted awful. I guess that's when they switched to seed oils.
That could be. Oh, what's that restaurant? Was it Steak and Shake? Is it that started using beef tallow again for their fries?
Right.
I haven't tried any. So I'm not really interested in eating fries. I don't want to get in the habit of eating fries again. That's I figure like my fry eating habit was part of the reason why I was so fat.
My mom used to like French fries, but the thing was that, she would send me to the fast food place to get a burger and fries. They were always terrible. They're always kind of dry and crappy and whatever. I said, Mom, if you like French fries, I'll make them for you. Yeah, but you're going to fry it in lard. Well, that's the whole idea. I used to play games with my mom. One time I got some canola oil and I did it right in front of her. So she knew that it was in canola oil. But then when she wasn't looking, the next time I did it in beef tallow. And then my mom had said, boy, these fries are really good. I wish that, what was it, Checkers or Burger King could make fries like this. I said, they can't because they're using that garbage oil that's been used over and over again. I'm frying these things fresh. But the beef tallow really made a difference. And my mom didn't even know because every time that she'd see me cook, I'd break out the canola oil. But then when she wasn't looking, it was off to the beef tallow. And then what I did, I got rid of the potatoes and I started using plantains from the yard. And she didn't even know the difference. When they were run through a fry cutter and fried, they were exactly the same. And all I ever heard was compliments how good my fries were. Even when the nurse came, to check her out, she says, oh, you got to try this fries my son makes. They're the best. Well, yeah, I guess so, because they're cooked in animal fats. But these fast food places, everything is garbage. And then they have to put sauce all over it. Like you said, the ketchup, the vinegar or whatever to get a flavor because they just don't taste right with the industrial seed oil.
Maybe soon they'll be frying it in Bill Gates's air butter. Maybe that's what's next. So,
I can't imagine anybody would want to look like Bill Gates. That would be kind of strange. I mean, it'd be better to eat Paul Saladino's diet than to eat what Bill Gates wants you to eat.
Good point. All you got to do is look at one and look at the other.
That's
Who
it.
are you more likely to listen to? I'll listen to Paul Saladino over Bill Gates. So there was a comment earlier. I didn't highlight it. It said Bill Gates is all about depopulation, whatever can kill us. Now, again, I might be a little not in the know, but some things just don't sound right on their surface. Kind of sounds conspiratorial. I mean, he was the one that tried to warn everybody about, the potential for a virus a couple years before coronavirus broke out, things like that. So I don't think anybody's out there trying to depopulate the planet. So I'd have to see some evidence of that.
Well, the thing is,
that didn't come from a blog or, so.
If they depopulate the planet, who are they going to take advantage of? They need people to live in reduced living standards so they can harvest them for their wealth. Mm-hmm. If they got rid of all the regular people, where would they get their wealth from? They wouldn't. They might have to get off their rear end and do some work. So I don't think they want depopulation. I think what they want to eliminate the population that's awake, that's a threat to them, the people that know how things really work, and just keep bringing in a stream of people that are clueless that they can control. That's what they want.
Yeah, that makes sense. Grandma DD says fixing the gut is supposed to help. Fermented foods and butyrate seems to help me some. I'm still experimenting. The highest form of butyrate is in ghee. Google will tell you all kinds of plants. Yeah, butyrate, butter. I heard those two names are actually related. So, yeah. And then ghee, of course, is like super butter.
That's right. Milton, what are you doing?
Oh, I've got
Don't eat that. No.
I've got so much fat here at the house. I bought a container of bacon grease, and then I bought a big container of tallow, and then I bought a huge log of butter when I was at Dumas the other day. So I've got fat for ages over here at the house. I use it all to cook in.
I can go through 50 pounds of lard in a few months.
Rick was born carnivore, never sick, never dentist, great hair, true carnivore. Speaking of dentist, were you in Kiltz's Mighty Tribe this afternoon?
Yes.
Okay, so that speaker they had, Dr. Abs.
Yes.
I think his name was, so he was a dentist. He was actually super informative. I enjoyed listening to him.
I've seen him many times. He even said hi to me at the end, so he remembers who I am.
Yeah. But he talked about, he covered topics about, since he's a dentist, that's kind of being a dentist and learning what carbohydrates can do to the teeth and stuff. It's kind of like what led him down the path of carnivore. But it was enjoyable to hear him talk about how, if you practice good dietary habits, you don't have to worry about your teeth so much. I also liked that he was dismissed the whole like fluoride toothpaste thing. Like someone brought up like, "Oh, what about fluoride?" And he's like, "You know what? It's in your mouth for a few seconds. Don't worry about it. Just if you have a good brushing technique, you don't even need toothpaste. If you have a good brushing technique, you're going to abrasively knock all that plaque off." But he's like, don't go all diddly dally and head over heels about the whole fluoride thing. You want to use fluoride toothpaste, use fluoride toothpaste. You don't want to use fluoride toothpaste, don't use fluoride toothpaste.
You
like
can
that.
brush your teeth the way I do.
Yep. And what do you do?
Baking soda and lard.
Baking soda and lard. Yeah. So yeah, it's, I like how he kind of just dismissed that as not that big of a deal. So, because I've always kind of agreed with that, so that was very informative. I enjoyed that. Garuda loves fermented foods, likes pickled cucumbers, kimchi with fish sauce, and I love the vinegar eggs at the American bars. The pickled eggs is aggressively tangy, but my stomach feels happy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So it sounds like you like just about everything but coffee.
There you go.
Yeah, that's okay. No, like fermented foods, like again, if it's natural, if you can thrive on eating natural food, what your grandma used to eat, that's awesome. So I fell in love with ghee and then I learned it was worse than a salad shooter. What's a salad shooter?
Thought that was a food processor.
I don't know. I like ghee. I have no problem with ghee. I think butter's good enough. Ghee can be cooked at a higher temperature, but then that's when I just resort to the bacon grease or the tallow. So
yeah, lard it up.
Here's an interesting comment. Dr. Berry says fruit is okay, not veggies for kids. Too saw him on Fox. So that's interesting. Okay, so I'm a big fan of Dr. Berry. I'm in his private community, and in the past he has made videos where he talks about his pure proper human diet spectrum, which is carnivore on one end to low carb on the other, consisting of low carb veg and fatty meat. And I've seen him make videos where he completely demonizes fruit, but he will regularly admit that he gives his children fruit. So, take that for what you will. So fruit for kids, but not veggies, but then veggies for adult, but not fruits. That's why this confuses me a little here. I didn't watch the Fox News segment. I was actually working. I walked into someone's house to do a repair, and I saw Dr. Perry on the TV. I was like, "Oh, I kind of know that guy." So it's kind of fun. But I haven't actually seen the Fox News segment with Dr. Berry yet. But I know he is also the same mindset that I often repeat. Is like he's not, he's eat natural. It's just if you go around the outside of the grocery store and stay away from the middle of the store, you're already 90% winning just by making that one change. So, all right. Milton, I love your feisty side, like Mitch.
He's got one.
Cereal is loaded with glyphosate. Yes, I just won't touch cereal now. Man, there were some cereals I used to love too, but not anymore.
That's why I have not, for a very long time, for decades, eaten any fruit or vegetables from a grocery store. If I ever eat fruit or vegetables, they come from right out my door. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's how I limit it, because I don't believe in shipping fruits and vegetables around the world, especially they're not properly ripened. They're sprayed with herbicides and pesticides. All my vegan friends, I keep telling them, there is no way to grow fruits and vegetables on a large scale without fertilizer and pesticides. It's impossible. The only difference is the organic is just different chemicals, but they're still spraying chemicals. You can't grow a large field of vegetables because the insects and disease attack it.
Right. Yeah. That's why my trees in the backyard only yield a very few edible pieces of fruit. I heard Dr. Berry.
Ducks are for.
Yeah.
You give the ones with bugs in it, you give it to the ducks, they go crazy.
Mine, we feed the deer. We love the deer here.
Well, there you go.
I heard Dr. Barry say nitrates aren't bad. Yeah, that's accurate. So, people have been preserving like bacon and stuff with nitrates.
Potassium nitrate or saltpeter has been around for thousands of years.
Right. Yeah, that's fine.
They were using it in ancient times, Rome and China.
Yeah. So yeah, it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. Here's a question. When the animal is butchered, isn't that processing? I mean, I know they call it processing, but when we talk about ultra processed foods, we're talking about foods that have been like harvested, disassembled into their finer fragments, and then made into other things, So yeah, technically, like, you run meat through a grinder
Cooking
and
is processing.
it's processed. Technically, you cook it, it's processed. But that's why we'd say ultra processed, stuff that, like, that hamburger is still just meat from a cow. It's different than you take like a grain and you've separated the wheat and the chaff and the bran and you've broken it down into the even the nitrates and the different minerals and you've combined it into this concoction and baked it in an oven at some hot degrees and added these preservatives to it so it can sit in a plastic bag in the center of the store for months and never go bad. That's something that is completely unrecognizable and not anything that nature has provided you to eat. So that's kind of my philosophy is I only eat what God or nature is provided to eat. And so for me, that means I have to be able to pluck it off a vine or a branch, or I have to be able to hunt it down, slit its throat and kill it or milk it. And then I'll put it in my mouth. But if I have to smash it, between two stones to grind it into a powder, or if I have to add chemicals to it or something like that, then I'm
Milton.
You can't send your coon dogs into the cornfield to flush out Snickers bars so you can shoot them down. So that's the way I look at it. Is like if you were a wild human years ago, what could you eat? Well, you could eat an apple, you could eat some blueberries, you could eat some plants if you were desperate enough, and you could hunt just about anything and eat it, So and that's what the earth has provided. So eat what the earth has provided. Don't eat what mankind has made. Generally speaking, it's not that all processed foods are evil, but the majority of them are. Let's see here. I bought smash burgers and the only added ingredient was soybean oil. They put that in my dog's vitamins for bone health also. It makes me so mad. Yeah, I mean, is a little bit of soybean oil really going to hurt you? I can't say. For most people, probably not. For some people, yeah, that'll inflame them. It'll inflame their joints. It might make them sick. The dose is the poison again, So, I think I take vitamin D and vitamin K. Those are fat soluble vitamins. So usually they're delivered in a gel capsule that's filled with some sort of seed oil. But it's such a tiny little bit. I don't care, So, I don't think a little bit of soybean oil is going to kill anybody. Obviously, a lifetime of eating several cups of it a day will shorten your life in the long run, So we know that they're bad, but people today they're eating all this processed food. And I heard a statistic that it's like 60 to 70% of all calories consumed by Americans are vegetable oils. That's crazy, So yeah, if you're getting 70% soybean oil, that's a problem. If you're getting just like a drop of soybean oil, I wouldn't sweat it. For example, when I go out to eat, I don't ask what they cook my steak in. I honestly don't care. I don't even want to know. So because if they put a little oil on that grill and they cook my steak on that grill, the trace amount of oil that's on that steak is so irrelevant. And it's not just me saying that. I'm actually repeating something that Bart K has said in his videos too. He's the same way. He doesn't care what people cook a steak in, because the amount of seed oils he's getting is next to nil generally, because the amount of times he goes out to eat is also next to nil. Da, da, da. Well, I'm glad you got your computer fixed.
Yeah.
That could have been a major downer if you couldn't.
That's true. Couldn't make any videos, couldn't do any lives, but I fixed it. Milton, Milton will be Milton.
This great saboteur.
He just, anything that moves, he has to get his paws on it.
Yeah, my cat plays once in a while with like a little hairball or a piece of dust or something, but usually my cat's too fat to move that fast.
Milton is not fat. You can see he's very lean.
Oh yeah, no, he is. My cat is too fat. So.
My cat acts like his owner.
Do you like to play with wires too?
I spend my life organizing them.
Yeah.
He spends his life wrecking them.
Granny Dee says Greek yogurt is my new ice cream. Might try a new carnivore ice cream soon. So, do you ever make any kind of yogurts or carnivore ice creams? Is that your thing?
I make yogurt all the time, but I don't make ice cream. I don't see the point of it.
Yeah. I make it once in a while. I like to have something cool. And
I drink ice water all the time, so that's cool.
Well, it's just basically you take some egg yolks and some heavy whipping cream and you freeze it, and then you blend it up in the ice cream maker the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So, pure fat.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hey, I was a kid that ate lard right out of the tub. Milton, what are you doing?
How about this? I've had some beef liver today. Are you an organ meat guy?
I used to eat liver all the time. I ate raw liver for years.
Oh, yeah?
It got too expensive and I stopped eating it.
It's pretty cheap around here. Raw, and you know what? I've tried it raw once, and it was actually, I thought it was better than cooked.
It is. That's the secret. When you overcook the liver, it becomes inedible.
Yeah, and it had to, I've cooked it sometimes, and sometimes it's a success. Like if I cook it in bacon grease, other times I've cooked it, it was an absolute failure. And
when you cook the liver, it oxidizes. It actually will taste like metal. It's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
I found the best way to do it was to pressure cook it or to boil it slowly.
Jamette says, I didn't know jalapenos could hurt. I rubbed my eye after cutting it. Oh my God, never again. Oh,
pepper spray. That's what it is.
It's pepper. You pepper sprayed yourself. Yeah. One of my favorite mindless entertainment TikTok channels is called Pepper Spray Central. It's just videos of people getting pepper sprayed. It's actually not funny, but it's funny.
I had a friend that he worked as a security guard for a while. He used a pepper spray as food seasoning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess you could. Yeah.
I remember he'd get fast food and then shoot it with a pepper spray.
That's
to give
all
it
it
that
is.
extra spice.
That's all it is pepper. Yeah.
That's right. Pepper spray. Oh, I got some spice right here. Pepper spray.
All right.
Then they have to keep replacing it because it keeps running out.
So, I'm making pemmican bars now with the tallow. That's the next thing I want to try, actually, is pemmican bars. I bought one carnivore bar and I loved it, but I don't want to buy them again at $16 a bar. That's kind of out there. So I want to learn to make my own. So
it's easy.
All right. So it's 11. So I'm going to try and scan some of these comments here and then probably call it a night. We're at the 3-hour mark. I told my wife I'd be on for 2. So I'm already on overtime. So I see Dustin joined us. Glad you could join us.
Ah.
Yeah. Keto Simple.
Man himself.
Yeah. So there's a good way to start wrapping things up. So Keto Simple is a channel you need to go over and check out. And then Rick's here is called Charger Mopar Rick. Charger Mopar is in one word, Rick in parentheses. Go over to his channel and you can enjoy he's the king of lives, by the way. Saturdays you can come in and out like a revolving door from 8 a.m. to time indefinite. So you never know how long it's going to last.
That's true. It's gone as long as 12 hours.
Yep. So yeah, Saturdays with Rick. And then Dustin on Keto Simple, he has a Sunday morning one.
Sunday morning at 7:30.
7:30 Eastern time?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so he has a Sunday morning live stream that's worth checking out. I believe Rockin' Keto Amy does one on Sunday evenings.
Yes, around 7.
It's worth checking out. And then I remember last week, we haven't seen him this week, but last week Darth Carnivore said he's starting up a channel. So it'd be nice to go over there and support him. And then okay, here's something that here's a good question from Jamet. Bob, do you believe that we should eat raw meat as Dr. Kiltz does? And I'm going to say no. Can you eat raw meat? Absolutely. I know a lot of people eating raw meat. Obviously, Dr. Kiltz is eating raw meat. There's an influencer on Facebook I follow who calls herself Miss Meat, and she's into eating raw meat. I think your TV's on, Rick. Sounded like a TV, didn't it? Okay.
That was Milton. Milton decided to play with the remote control.
Okay. All right.
But I got it away from him.
So there's Miss Meat that eats raw meat. I forget who else I said. Dr. Kiltz was into eating raw meat, and I mean, back in the day, eating raw meat was actually much more common than it is now, and there's still some trace remnants of that, like steak tartare and some other dishes, that are still popular, and but do you have to eat raw meat? Nope, not at all. You can cook it just fine, and you're going to get plenty of nutrition from it. The more red and pink it is, the more nutrition you will derive from it. So that is true. The more you cook it, the hotter you cook it, the more some of these vitamins and minerals will break down. But so like you get the full benefit, you get the biggest benefit of it raw, but it's not like you're not benefiting it if you're not eating it raw. That's not the case at all. So no, you do not have to eat. You do not have to eat raw meat.
There are risks associated with raw meat.
Yes, parasites. Someone posted the other day on the forum that they had had steak and they were eating it like blue rare, and they found a worm in it, pulled the worm out, and they were afraid that they already took a bite of the worm, and they took a picture of the worm and shared it with the group. And so, of course, we did some internet digging with the photo and found it looked like a tapeworm, in the flesh of the meat. So it's, if you're going to eat raw meat, you have to trust your sources. You have to really inspect it, but there's going to be things in there that are microscopic that you can't see. Normally, you're probably going to be fine, but you increase your risk. It's all about risk, so you increase your risk by eating raw meat. If you cook it or sear the outside, that's where most of the bacteria or germs are going to be. That's why the inside can still be blue rare and rare. And that's kind of like maybe the happy medium. I like mine a happy medium. That's how I cook everything.
I boil a lot of my meats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the traditional way actually of cooking meat. If you look at some of the civilizations that have the longest lasting people, it's actually boiled and stewed meats that are the most common way of eating them. And it does not seem to hurt their longevity one bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And Dustin makes a good comment. I think telling the average person to eat meat raw is going to have a negative effect on getting people to take us seriously. Yeah, I agree. So no, you don't have to eat raw meat. I know some people are really into it. Okay. You know, it's not for me. So, you know, I'll again, there's some certain dishes, raw this, raw that, you know, but
What?
it's not a risk that I'm willing to take most of the time.
Come here, baby.
Yeah, so you don't have to.
Black cat.
I see where he's getting at, though. He's getting at that, you know, before the invention of fire, before man was able to harness fire, these humans or human-like creatures of the hundreds of thousands of years ago, you know, were eating the carrion left over from other carnivores, sucking out the bone marrow, or killing something and just eating its flesh right there raw, just like any other animal in the wild will. But then we learned how to use fire, and we've been using fire for, if you believe in the evolutionary story, hundreds of thousands of years. We've been eating cooked meat and thriving. So is it necessary to eat raw? No. Is there an
Well, couldn't you
advantage to
just-
eating raw?
Couldn't you just eat more cooked meat? That's all.
Oh, yeah. There we go. See, it's 11 o'clock and I can't think with logic now. Thank God Rick's here. Yeah. If you're not getting as much nutrition out of your 8 ounces of meat, eat 12.
Which is what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I've been eating cooked meat for decades. I've been on the carnivore diet. Has it had a bad effect on me in anyone's opinion?
Nope. It's turned him into a computer repairing wizard. But not a cat tamer.
How many 57-year-olds do you know that can be as active as me and have look halfway decent? And I've been eating cooked meat for a long time and store-bought meat. I mean, with the occasional wild-caught meat, but still, and I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
What's the advantage? I mean, I've seen some of the people that eat raw meat. They don't look that any different. What's the big deal?
All right. I think that's it. All right. Bacteria can be introduced into the meat. We've had fire for millions of years. Yeah, these are all, we were great minds think alike. This is exactly what I was thinking about too. Multiple millions of years we've had and been using fire to cook meat. Yes, absolutely. And that's the end of our comments. So actually I'm going to stop there. I lied. I forget. Something Gotias from raw meat eating had man cheated on him in his silly Sweden community. I'm pretty sure the kid is not his. Okay. I'm too tired to translate that. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for hanging on for over 3 hours. I'm going to say goodnight because I'm tired. And that's that. Rick, I'm glad you got your computer repaired and you were able to join us. I want to thank Kurt and Jeff and Aaron, who is new tonight, for joining us here on screen. And hope to see all of you over at carnivoretalk.com in the community and see you back here next Monday. How many we got here? We got 25 here. Okay. So my last thing, and I'm going to say, I should have said this earlier when we had 40 people here. And at the beginning, where most people will watch this video and nobody ever is going to replay it to this time. But I'm going to amp up my interview game. So if you have a carnivore or keto or animal-based success story that you would like to tell, and you would like to do that in the style of an interview format, we can do those live. We'll schedule it ahead of time so we both can advertise it and try and get some people in the chat to participate as well. It'll be just a one-on-one discussion, unlike the Monday nights where it's up to 10 people. This won't be that. It'll just be you and me and a discussion, and we'll go from there. Because I've had some interviews, and but they've been pre-recorded and then they've been asked not to be published. So the hang-up seems to be when people go and rewatch them, they don't like them. So we're not doing that anymore. We're going to do them live, one take. That's it. Enjoy. So if you would like to share your story on Carnivore Talk, let me know, and reach out to me using the form in the comments down below, or email me, bob@carnivoretalk.com. And I'll be hunting some of you down as well, because you have some really great stories that inspire me, and I know they'll inspire others. So that's that. I'll make that more known in the weeks ahead. Outside of that, good night, everybody. I'm going to end the stream, and Rick, I'll say goodbye to you here as soon as we're off the air. Okay.
All right.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.